Yo, hello everyone! Welcome in, welcome in. Hello, hello. I think we're live. Are we live? Help! Somebody, no, just kidding. Welcome in. It's the Rack, aka Kōri. Today we're doing episode 2 of Dumpster Fire. Let's freaking go! Are y'all excited? I'm excited. Today's topic is shit VTubers rarely talk about. And I feel like this could be, a variety of things. Maybe negative, mostly negative. Probably mostly negative. But maybe some positive sprinkled in there too. But yeah, our goal is to have kind of a semi-chaotic podcast and just have a nice little conversation. Get a little deep at times, but for the most part, being an open and safe space for all of us to talk about our opinions and experiences, and just enjoy each other's company and talk about things that you might not hear on a day-to-day basis with VTubing. Today's guest is Dregn. Okay, freaking epic. And also it's Dreg's birthday. Happy birthday, Dregn! Let's go! Heck yeah! I was like, Dregn, are you sure about this? Are you sure you want to do this with me? But Dreg's really kind and cool and was super down. So thank you, Dregn. We're about to have Dregn on in just a second here. But yeah, everybody also take note that I have a pinned comment with Dreg's info, and also that I will not be interacting with chat since this is a podcast. But thank you everybody for coming out today, and I hope that you enjoy the chat and lurking and whatnot. So yeah, all right, y'all, we can go ahead and get started here. Let me do the thing. Without further ado, let me get Dregn up here. Boom. Hi, Dregn. You're here. You're live.
I'm here. I'm alive. Do I have legs? Damn it.
No. Not yet.
I was promised legs, Kōri. What happened? I thought you had a whole trash heap of them.
Yeah, I got those cowboy stickman legs that Vector gave you.
Go.
Yeah,
there
yeah. Those were nice. Those were
There's
nice.
so many to choose from. I don't know how you all do it.
You gotta have one for each day of the week.
That'd be hilarious. It's already been talked about. If I ever do more with the model, it's like you gotta tell the artist. It's like so there's a condition. I need 7 pairs of legs.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah.
Don't ask questions. Sliding the money on under the table. Don't ask questions. Very nice.
Exactly.
So Dregn, how do you?
Yeah,
thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Happy birthday! Frick yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anything how do you want to introduce yourself to the chat? For those of the people in the chat that don't know you.
Yeah, how do you do introductions, man? It's been a while. So, hi everyone. My name's Dregn of the Yasuhiro 0088 channel. I do a little variety streaming on YouTube as I ventured away from the corporate world to explore a little bit about streaming, the community out here, VTubers. It's been a good fun, met some good people, and we're working on some projects slowly on the side to build our own little creative community, build our own tabletop RPG, and otherwise just explore the space. It's a good time. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, heck yeah, let's go. That's super epic. Yeah, I know last night you were streaming kind of a first look at that TTRPG that you're working on. So that's super cool. And that's been in the works for like a couple months now, right?
It actually kicked off because back in January of this year, big popular one, Wizards of the Coast with Dungeons and Dragons. You may have heard of Dungeons and Dragons out there.
Yes.
But yeah, Wizards of the Coast is apparently like, you know what? We can make a lot more money from this system. So some changes got leaked, and then they tried to backpedal away from it. And I'm so tired of this corporate bullshit. Oh, can I use language? I think you said
yes. Yeah. You can.
Yeah. We can be colorful. We can paint with all the colors.
Yeah.
But yeah, so gosh, I don't know what it is. I was in it. I saw it. I trusted it for a little bit, and then they're like, "Nah, we don't care." So Yeah, I'm a little butthurt with the corporate world, and God, I really want to see it change, but I'm just a wee spaceman out in the stars. What can I do?
I feel it. I feel it. I was gonna ask you about your corporate background because I found that very interesting. Because you're like one of the few people that I know in VTubing, like for a fact, has had a corpo job or been in that realm, other than like me. You're the one I know for a fact, so I wanted to ask you more about that. But before I asked you the heavy questions, I did have a little birthday. It's very short and sweet, but I had a little birthday poem that I was gonna read to you because it's your birthday.
Oh boy.
Um,
Let's hear it.
it's very short and sweet, but I wanted to show my appreciation. Okay. Hey, Dragon. Even though you can't wear any leggings, I'm just saying, you're pretty dang cool, Dragon. I hope there's more fun things along the way. Have a happy birthday. Oh my god. I'm sorry, Dragon. I hope you enjoyed that. Wait, are you saying something? Wait, why am I?
Oh no! Did I pushed a button? I guess.
No. I
Why has it got to be so difficult to see? You know what? We're gonna talk about this. There is one topic I want to get into, which is everyone. Like, there's a lot of people who want to do VTubing, but it's like, dude, VTubing is probably the worst gateway to streaming.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that. Well, why do you say that? Now that you're bringing it up, now I want to talk about it.
Now you want to talk about
Yeah,
it?
let's do it.
Well, let's think about it, right? I mean, what do you need to stream?
Too
A
much
computer.
stuff. Yeah, okay, a computer. Oh well,
You
a
need
good computer.
Internet. Yeah,
Right.
you need a decent computer.
And good internet.
So let's break it down, right? You obviously need the minimal, decent internet to broadcast. You need a decent computer to handle your broadcasting software and whatever it is you're going to broadcast. So if that's gaming, then you're good luck with that, laptop champions.
Yeah.
And if you choose VTubing, you additionally need your model, you need your overlay, you need the rigging, you need what am I forgetting here? You also need you need a better computer because now you need to run your model and the video game and whatever you need to do.
Right.
So it's a hell of an investment in addition to just buying a camera. If you're even gonna face cam, I mean, you could just start streaming and making content just audio only to get started. So
Yeah.
there's so many ways to get started, and VTubing is like one of the more expensive options to get into it, to break into it. And it's super time consuming too, because while you're streaming, it's like you got to puppeteer and you got to entertain chat and you got to play or do whatever it is that your quote unquote content is supposed to be. So not only are you multitasking just to stream, you got all this other stuff to worry about if you're trying to do it, good and right and entertaining and like a show, So it's far more involved than people consider at a glance. I mean, obviously rigging and having a good rigger that reduces the number of buttons you need to push constantly.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's helpful. It's also special when you get a rigger who can let you turn 180 and snap your neck constantly.
Yeah. Break your neck, yeah.
Yeah. It also helps when you got a rigger that maybe slaps in a little funny raccoon looking creature that you can goof around in.
Who could that be?
But outside of that, it's like I see on Twitter all the time. It's like people want to be a VTuber and PNG stuff. Actually, that's another point. Is that PNGs? There's so much more creative ways that you could expand on like a PNG tuber to make them like a pseudo VTuber.
Yeah, that's true.
And not a whole lot of people have really done that. I think the whole animated reactives is a step in the right direction, but people could get really creative with PNGs. I kind of wish I knew about it before I got into it, because I would have totally done some retro version of Dragon and gone PNG like pixel route or something.
You can still do it. Do a little special.
No, I'm broke now.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That's true. Yeah, on that note, I mean, one of the things that I was thinking about was I don't know about if you experienced this, but I experienced a lot of rejection from riggers or artists or whatnot, people I was trying to commission, I actually experienced a lot of rejection because I was a small creator, and they like almost didn't believe that I was like trying to purchase something. Like they're like, you don't, you make money? Yeah, no, I've really experienced that. Like I remember the one on the top of my head is like, I reached out to this one artist, and you know, their commissions were a little bit more on the pricier side, to be fair, but you know, like I reached out, I was like, hey, I really like your art, can I please like, you know, commission you? And they were like posting constantly that their commissions were open, and they never responded to me. I even commented on their post. That's how desperate I got. Was like, hey, I sent you a DM, and they never said anything to me. So it's pretty embarrassing, like to get, you know, kind of a publicly, I mean, who's looking, but in a way publicly rejected. But I've experienced that. So
that's actually hilarious. I mean, you've done a lot more recently than I have. I mean, I went pretty hard in it when I got started, but out of like the 24 people that I've worked with, I don't think I've been rejected once. I'm almost curious to see how you talk to them, or like how you introduce yourself to them, because I bet you there's a lot of people out there who, based on the style of like how the DM is introducing the person, right? Like you all, if you've been doing it for long enough, you know what like a bot user's generic hello is gonna look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
That's
don't know.
fair.
Maybe it's also because I handle it all in like a semi-professional way, like back in my working time. So I come in with like hey, how's it going? Really like this. I usually link like one piece of theirs that I saw recently that introduced me to them, or at least piqued my interest to work with them. And then I ask something along the lines of, hey, I'm interested in maybe kicking off a project. I'm looking to understand like how much your stuff costs, and really just kind of start the conversation that way. You know, hello, here's what I saw of you, or here's why I'm interested in talking to you, and then here's what I'm interested in finding out, and I hope we can work together. Look forward to hearing from you soon, or looking forward to your reply. So that's kind of how I handle it, but I haven't really had any bad experiences yet. So
that's good.
Can't relate, Kōri. Sorry.
Wow. Okay. I guess it's just me. Maybe I just smell weird.
Just walk in there. Hey guys, you got any more of them VTuber models?
I need my fix.
Yeah. Right?
But no. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just goofing. That's enough goofing.
Yeah, that's enough, Dragon. Okay.
That's enough.
But yeah, no, I think I try to do that as well. Like, I include, you know, here's my references, here's like rough idea of what the deadline might be, like as much information I can pack into like that's not too, I guess, scary and daunting of a message. Yeah. Like I do pack it in there because I'm also used to talking in like a professional or semi-professional way. But I don't know, it's just weird. Like I've experienced like rejection in the way that like I can see them prioritizing and taking or only accepting bigger VTubers, like their commissions over mine. Like I've had people say like, oh yeah, totally, like yeah, I can do that or something, or like oh, I'll put you on the wait list for, you know, this day, and then that day comes and they never reach out. But I do see them like, you know, actively accepting commissions and doing new commissions for bigger VTubers. And I mean, it's like not direct rejection, but it kind of is like in a way like being ignored because like I'm not as big as those other VTubers, you know? And I feel like
sometimes it makes me wonder, it's like perhaps it's a they got like two lists, right? You got he's the bouncer to his own work and he's making you wait in line, whereas if you're a certain size, they're like, oh, come on in.
Yeah, I think it's like that I do think it's kind of like that for a lot of these well, from the people that I experience this with, I think it's like that, and it's fair. I mean, it's their artwork and stuff, so I can't complain. But it just kind of sucks. Like I feel like that's not something that I've heard anyone ever talk about in the VTubing community, like getting ignored or rejected in a sense. That's
an interesting one.
Yeah, and there's this other time that I reached out to a bunch of like, this is like kind of on the same vein but a little different. I reached out to a bunch of like clippers and people who did, you know, just clips and whatnot, and like I reached out to them. I was like, hey, I really like your clips and your channel. You know, I'm just doing a shot in the dark, but like I have some clips that I would love to, you know, have you feature on your channel if you're okay with that, you know, and if not, I don't want to intrude. Like, I was really respectful about it, obviously, but I obviously chose ones that, like, they had a variety of VTubers that were, like, big and small. Like, they seemed open to the idea, but, like, they would say, oh yeah, totally, and I'd send them something and they never did anything with it, or they, you know, or I did get a couple of no's, but mostly, like, ghosting me and, like, yeah, I'll do something but never doing anything with it. And, like, that was kind of like rejection in a way for me, because I was like, well, I reached out to a pretty good list of people and that's all that ever came out of it, which was disappointing.
Yeah, because I don't know. I feel like there's at least an aspect of what you're saying that I think parallels kind of how I feel when I approach somebody. It's like, you want to be optimistic, right? You want to be hopeful. You want to feel like, hey, you know, I'll give them the time. You know, maybe they won't see it. Maybe they're bad with their socials. Maybe they're not good at replying. Maybe it takes them a week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5.
I know.
But you would hope that eventually, you know, they give you the courtesy of, you know, replying. Man, I remember when I first started applying for work way back when. It's like, I got one rejection letter, and that was the only company I remember today applying to because they rejected me. The rest of them I've forgotten, right?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, man, if you don't want to do it, at least say like, hey, sorry, I can't do it right now, or hey, I'm not interested, or it's like,
yeah,
hey,
right.
this, or maybe even better yet, you know, be a human, refer me along to somebody you think you might be helpful.
Yeah.
Or if you just don't know, just, you know, give me a rejection. It's like, people don't reject anymore, and I don't really understand the value of that. I don't know what everyone's so. I get. There comes a certain point, maybe depending on growth and size, where it's, hey, I have so much going on in my inbox, it just becomes not feasible to really look at it or address it, right? So you got to kind of learn better ways to filter what's coming in. But even then, you know, when you reach out and you're just like, man, I spent the time and effort and the courage to hit that send button. I hope they see it.
Yeah, I know.
And you're just left never knowing. They're just leaving you hanging. It's like, brother, please.
Throw me a bone, man.
Right, exactly. So I get the vibe, but I also understand it's like, man, depending on what their inbox looks like. Also, just a lot of people on Twitter are not good at planning and scheduling.
Being professional, yeah.
As far as I can tell. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like you were asking earlier, it's like, what's my background? So maybe it ties into why, at least when it comes to, you know, the talking and the messaging and the replying and the scheduling, I do okay at it. So I was in what's known as a sales engineering role, which I worked for a cybersecurity company, so it was a very technical space. You know, a lot of certifications floating around. People are much smarter than I am at this point. But it was selling cybersecurity software for organizations to prevent things like big ass breaches from happening and making sure that they don't end up on, you know, the headlines in newspapers. And at least when I started, the company actually was, you know, making a very impactful difference, I believed. But the position itself, it was a little less sales and a bit more kind of technical, proving the software to the technical and the business side of, you know, whatever organization I'm working with. So whether that be talking at the C-level to be like, hey, here's what our solution does, here's how we can, you know, integrate it into your environment, getting a little bit of a mix of high level and kind of more strategic versus working with the guys on the ground who are the, you know, the admins of the organization, being like, hey, here's how you're going to implement it, here's how you're going to manage it. So maybe that type of a background gave me a little bit of an insight to how to engage for the purpose of moving things along. Right? It's like, because we don't want to waste our time engaging with a company who ultimately just wants like a free lunch or something. Right?
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously the company, and maybe this is just me personally, I don't know how others address how they work with people, but it's like, hey, if I'm selling this company something, I want to make sure it works for them. I want to make sure that they're happy with it. I want to make sure that, you know, when we leave, that they're getting the support that they need. So I was a big advocate of, you know, talking to our team on our side and making sure that, you know, the company that we sold to is getting the support that they needed, and
right,
making sure that if, you know, if they have a question, they could always message me. I was pretty upfront. It's like, dude, if you call me and I don't have you saved, or I forget your name, I apologize. The best way is just email me and I'll see what I can do to help.
Yeah, yeah.
So that hasn't changed, but yeah, that was an interesting environment. I kind of miss it, but at the same time, corpo is a when you're working with Fortune 500 companies, man, it's a weird environment.
What do you miss about it?
I think I miss the. It's not really the sales itself. It's the it's treating it like a puzzle, because
Mm.
it's like, okay, well, I have this interesting puzzle here, being our product. How do I get it into your puzzle, meaning
Ah,
your
yeah,
company?
that's fair. Yeah.
And how do we make sure that we're not just doing that meme where you just slam the puzzle piece and try to punch it in place, right? It's like,
Right,
now
right.
how do we finish this to make it work and change the picture that you guys have built, right? In the sake of security. But yeah, I always enjoyed solving puzzles, so that was
Nice.
fun.
Do you feel
Yeah.
like anything with your like what are other particular ways that you feel like your corpo background has helped you with your VTubing like career?
Money. Yeah, no,
Okay,
when it
damn.
started, when it started, I mean, people joke. People don't understand how much money flows in this world, right? Like you consider there's people out there making, 5 digits, 6 digits, some even 7 digits. Like your average Joe making 4 digits a month, maybe even some people making 3 digits. I'm sorry, guys, but you don't understand the scale that money moves in when you're at that level. It's ridiculous. Like, I was making 5 digits a month. That was a good life, but like, people don't understand that if you're making 5 digits a month and your rent is only maybe like 2K of that, and like, me saying 2K might even blow some people's minds, because I know people who are paying only 500 a month in like what their rent is, depending on where you live. So
Right.
we're all beings of our own kind of perception and observations and our environments. So if you're living in, say, San Francisco, your opinion on how the world functions is very different from, say, someone living in the boonies of Minnesota or something. you know
Mhm.
it's the scale of the world around you operates at a different kind of capacity. So it warps kind of your perception of things, right, for better or for worse. So yeah, I think the good thing is my I didn't grow up in like a super wealthy home. I mean, they had their own business, so I got a little bit of insight into like how a family business crashes and burns. But and then with, I guess, the corpo stuff, like, I got to really see what I think that one of the things I miss about maybe that space is the fact that I was in a position where we were going into companies, right?
Mm.
So I got to see a lot of insight on how a lot of companies operated, and also just how lackluster the security of these companies are, which lends to just, man, we really can't trust them, not because we don't trust them, but because, like, we can't trust how they do things. you know,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
when you're in security, it's becomes blatantly obvious how underprepared or how undervalued security is. It's like insurance. We don't value it like insurance, where it's like, oh, it's just in case something happens, right? It's better to avoid it when something happens. You know, it's you don't you stop and look both ways before crossing the street, because it's better to not get hit by the truck. Maybe depending on who you talk to these days, they might argue, depending on if that truck has cute eyes and blushing, but different story. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely the income. I mean, hell, I was working 40, sometimes 60 with travel, and it was very busy. It was very, you had to stay on top of it. There was a form of crunch time. Always, Q4, fourth
Oh
quarter of the
yeah.
year,
Mhm.
is always just, you gotta get the end of quarter, end of year stuff done, and everyone's busy and busy, busy. But it was an interesting kind of grind as well, because I also think a lot of people are more productive the busier they are, and I think these days, maybe I'm projecting a little bit, because I haven't been really doing much outside of trying to figure something else out for myself these past year and a half or 2 years. But I think when you're distracted in the form of work and busy and duty, there's a lot of productivity that comes out of that as well. So there's good and bad to it all, as many things have.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Kind of like circling back on kind of what you're talking about. I know a little bit on sales and stuff, and I feel like with sales, in a corporate sense, like you're always trying to like push to be, unique in a way, or like to challenge like the company that your potential client on, hey, how you're doing things. There's a better way to do it, and we can help you do that. For example, and I feel like something that I feel like does not convert from like being in like a corporate world of trying to, especially like a sales role where you're trying to sell something.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate well into VTubing, where like I've recently come to a realization that like I feel like I've been trying to tackle VTubing with like me trying to be unique, and like obviously
Yeah.
I've got my own unique style, of course, right? But at the same time, like what has worked, and I have to come to terms and accept that still, is the mainstream. And like, so in order for you to get your name out there, you kind of have to go through those, like, unfortunately, those formulas of the shitty VTuber support chain, similar things. And like you have to
Yeah.
kind of go through those motions in order to get to a point where like, okay, now you're really growing a community, you're really growing like people
Yeah.
that are watching you. And it sucks because like I'm used to like trying to be unique and trying to like, here's what sets me apart,
Do it
from
my way.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. But at the same time, like with VTubing, what works is already what has been implemented, and it sucks to like come to that realization that like, wait, I gotta do what everybody else is doing first. Like,
Yep. I love that you're bringing this up because I find it hilarious because you've done a lot of experimenting kind of with what you've done over the past, I think, a year and a half also,
mm-hmm,
maybe a little bit longer, but yeah, the understanding and having some parallel experience doesn't translate to the execution of VTubing, right?
mm-hmm.
And just entertainment in general and social media and whatnot. It's consumer behavior.
Right.
That's what it boils down to. It's you goddamn sheep out there. You guys walking around. Who's your shepherd? But yeah, no, it's the sad reality, which is there is a tried and true like working formula that the general populace is prone to, whether they realize it or not, and it's called consumer behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
psychology, which is, I kind of wish I took more psychology when I was in university, because man, I feel like psychology and law would have been two really good things to learn in university.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
That's true.
but yeah, it's the and I laugh at my situation because it's so true, and I hate it. I hate it so much. It's like, come on, what do you mean? You gotta just like rope him in like pawns, man. It's funny. Consumers are an interesting amalgamation of a populace.
Yes, I know.
Yep.
I know. I agree. So, out of curiosity, like, I actually think you've been in this space a little bit longer than me, if not a lot longer. And I'm just curious, like, when you started out, like, what were kind of like your expectations? And then now that you're here, how have your expectations kind of changed with VTubing?
That's a fun one. Yeah. So if you walk into anything, like, you got to expect the journey, right? And you got to be expecting that the paths may twist and turn, and there might be forks in the road, and you're gonna have to make a decision someday. Like, you got to expect that kind of stuff because nothing is clear cut. No one's gonna railroad you to the finish line, right? So I like that question a lot. Getting into it, I think I hope I've stayed true to why I got into it, which is I enjoyed video gaming. I enjoyed watching content creators. I enjoyed the rise of VTubers that happened. I think I was watching VTubers back in like 20, was it 18? I forget. So it was pre-COVID when I discovered VTubers, but it obviously blew up during the pandemic and the shutdown, and everyone's at home, right? So uh, yeah, it was around that time that I decided, you know what, screw this corporate world, this grindy ass bullshit. I'm gonna explore what this VTubing stuff is all about. So I got into it because I thought it was cool. I mean, that's that's kind of it. I was like, this is
Nice.
cool. The community seems like fun. There's a lot of overlapping kind of interests and hobbies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between the gaming and the board games and the anime and the manga. And VTubing, I thought was a very fun and interesting and creative and an avenue of putting yourself out there that had a lot of potential with how these models are. It reminded me a lot of kind of like motion capture that you saw in video games and movies getting popular, many years ago, but now it's like accessible. you know now it
Mm-hmm.
now it doesn't cost you, four figures to get a full body, motion capture suit like somebody out there does. you
Mm-hmm.
know so yeah, I decided, let's learn a little bit more about it, because I think I came to a realization that you could either work for someone or you could work for yourself, right? And I wanted to take a stab at figuring out, if I could work for myself, what are some
Mm-hmm.
things that I could try to explore. And I thought the VTubing community as a whole was something that I would love to be a part of. And I think that's what it was. It's like, what would I want to be like involved with if I had to choose for myself, right? And not
Mm-hmm.
just conform.
Right.
So yeah, and I thought, VTubers have, again, a lot of things that I like with just hobbies, and I think it's cool, and the tech is there, and there's like the communal kind of interaction that's going on between like the different groups that form, right? And I really thought that was neat, so I got into it for that purpose, learned a bit about it. I mean, I didn't go full send as much as I did make an effort. I think those are two different things. But my expectations now, or how things have evolved, would probably just be more God, I don't even know how I would put it. I think my focus has shifted a little bit to, okay, having tried it myself, I enjoy talking, but I don't enjoy um I think I've realized that sharing games is not what I want to do with my time if I'm in this space. And streamers and VTubers in general, I think the vast majority default to games, which is why I kind of did it too.
Mm.
And I realized, there's so much more that you could do than just playing a game, because that's also incredibly saturated.
Mm.
People
Yeah.
playing games on the internet, imagine that. So so I think I shifted more to, okay, well, I definitely am interested in the space, right? Having gone into it and tried it and explored it. Okay, now the question became, what do I even want to do in it? because
Mm. Yeah.
because sometimes you go into something maybe not knowing, right? A lot of people maybe go to university not knowing what path to walk, right? Which is why I hear all the time there's people who are undecided for 1 to 3 freaking years. It's like, bro, we're wasting our time and we've been told to. Why are we doing it? So yeah, I think in the past 6 months, it actually took a bit of a heavy turn, because I was like, damn, what are things that I'm like passionate about? What are things that I actually would take action for? Because I think there's a funny story. I think I'm going to detour here a little bit and tell you guys a story.
Let's
So
go.
back in university, I was in university hoping to be a game developer, and not in a programming sense, because I had a high school teacher that ruined my love for math, but I decided, like a producer would be good. Someone who is more kind of managing, organizing, keeping timetables, charts, graphs, all that fun stuff, right? It's I'm pretty OCD when it comes to that kind of thing. I could probably do that. So I was striving to be a game producer of sorts, and that was a hell of an industry to try to break into. But I actually got a call one day from Riot Games, which I was so happy about. And I don't know how I feel about it in the moment, but thinking back to it, I can draw some lessons from it at least, right? So what happened was, what I remember from it at least is, we did our typical introductions, and she asked some basic questions, but then we got to this one question, which was, that's cool. Like, what do you? Okay, so what is it that you're passionate about? Was like a question. So I, obviously gave the rant about how I loved games and how I'm involved in games and how I've been a part of guilds, how I've helped to manage forums, how I've, tried to, be involved with the community that's a part of the game, and whatnot, yada, yada, yada. And then she comes back with like, oh, that's cool. Well, so how do you show that you're actually like passionate though? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I just kind of spelled it out for you. Like there's the whole spread of things that I've been involved with, and the things that I've done, and the things that I play and get in, and, you know, and hype up, and that went on for like 4 times, like just. Okay, yeah, but I'm asking about your passion. It's like, and in my head, I'm like, listen here, bitch. How many times I need to answer this question? What do you mean?
God damn it!
What do you want? What do you want from me?
What do you want from me?
Like in my head, I was starting to lose it, but in the end, the conversation ended uneventfully, anticlimactically, and I think many years later, I think about that interview today because since then, you know, working what I did did interviews. I was involved in getting people hired and what we were doing. And I question and I wonder, like, if I asked somebody what are they passionate about, and I heard a similar response to what I gave her, what would I think today? Right? I don't know if a lot of people really kind of think in retrospect like that, but my illness causes me to fucking do it all the time. But I think I would have rejected myself too back then. And the reason being is that I think passion is today, this is my take today, is that I think passion is showed when you take action towards something that you want to see grow, right? So you're actually it's not just about doing anything or spending a lot of time in it. It's about what are you contributing? What are you creating? It is, I think, what I would draw as passion, right? So sorry, a bunch of you starving folks out there, but just because you enjoy something and spend, 40 hours a week indulging yourself in something, that doesn't translate to passion, I think, is what I would think. Rather than spending 40 hours, I would much rather see you spend 4 hours making something that contributes to what you're interested in, and I would call that passion. So yeah. So when it comes to this whole streaming stuff and trying to get involved in the VTubing community, it wasn't just me sitting there watching VTubers talking about it, if I did at all. It was, okay, well, let's actually get into it and actually add to the chaos.
Yeah.
Let's actually try some things out, right? So like on the channel, I've tried singing a song. I've tried doing, an interview type of episode. I've tried, tried doing game playthroughs, which, God, I hate video games. It's such an idle task, but just trying things out until you find something that you're like, there's something here. I want to do more, right? I think that's the emotion you want to strive for. It's like, I want to do more is what people need to search for. And it's not just the surface level. I want to. Why? Because I want to make this. I want to make it bigger. I want to see people enjoy the thing I make and maybe get others to make it with me. Or it's creation versus consumption. I think maybe I'll separate it at that.
Yeah. No, that's a really great explanation. I think I agree with everything you said, and that's actually a really interesting story and a really interesting thing because, like, I never realized that people don't always know the difference between what it means to be passionate about something. I never thought about that until just now, basically, because my whole life I've pretty much had the same passion, which was creating worlds that people could feel like they can get lost in, putting the imagination that I have in my head into words or into a game. That's always been my thing, pretty much as early as I could remember. So for me, that's always been embedded in me and the things that I've done. So I never stopped to think I wonder if anyone else knows that. But it's funny because that's the first question that I'll ask somebody sometimes is what are you passionate about? Because that says a lot about the person. Finding out what makes you tick, what is something, what is that overarching goal that you want to not goal, but just overarching thing or idea or whatever it is that you just want to keep doing and achieving and pushing for. So very interesting. I think that's something that's also very important for when you're doing VTubing, because like more often than not, I see a lot of people, like seem to be more passionate about making money, like making their VTubing into like hobby into a career. But I feel like that's the wrong way to look at VTubing. Like, absolutely do not. I highly recommend not doing that, because it's like, then you just start to have these really strange expectations, and also like the mainstream way to make money in VTubing might not be something that you agree with. Like, for example, like there's a lot of like lewd VTubers or NSFW things that they have Patreons, and they have like, oh, become a member and you'll see like this kind of NSFW art. And I feel like that's where a lot of the money, or a large chunk of money, is made with VTubing. It's like that extra Patreon kind of thing. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or like where you think people are getting money from in the VTubing community. I don't know if that's...
No, I don't have a whole lot of thoughts on the third party kind of sourcing of funds, because you can't rely on the platform itself to take care of you, right? YouTube, Twitch, Kick, any of those. Unless you're in the top 5%, you're probably not really seeing anything worth any value on these platforms. Right. YouTube, I think, is probably the better of the bunch, just because they're so large that there's a greater percentage of people who can, see some value coming out of it. But this is why I struggle with Twitch. Is you really need to be in like the top 5% to really see any value.
Yeah.
Maybe we can be generous and say it's the top 10%, but still, it's like, man, there's the promise of making it big on Twitch, but a lot of them, they make their money through merchandise that they eventually release, through sponsorships. They're not making it from Twitch, right?
Especially now.
Especially now. Right? So yeah, it's and YouTube's on the flip side, you could make it if you have consistency, but there's a lot of VTubers who just don't have consistency because they have a life and they have a job and they got stress and whatnot.
Right.
And also YouTube's barrier to entry is pretty steep, right? You got to actually get some traction, and then you got to capitalize on any traction you do get in order to cross that barrier. So having, a third party way of people kind of supporting you, I think is actually a smart thing to do on the internet today. It's more, direct.
Yeah.
So if it's kind of manipulative to get you there, then, there's some, moral reasons why I would disagree, but I would hope that the person contributing is at least at an IQ where they're like, yeah, I'm doing this because I'm willing to, not because I'm getting played.
Right.
So to each their own. But I think it's all right to have like a Ko-fi or a Patreon or a Throne or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the whole lewd stuff. I mean, I don't like it personally, but I get it. I mean, let's be honest, the majority of the internet is male dominated, especially in these particular verticals or these industries, right?
Yeah.
It's getting closer to like a 60-40, but I mean, it ranges from 60 to 80% male customer base or audience base, right? So it's like, we're not going to get political, but there is a certain situation in the world right now, and we do got a lot of lonely people out there. So
right. Yes.
It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. You gotta take it with the salt.
Right. Take it with the salt and pepper. Season that.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, I think like sex sells, like no matter what. I mean, I don't know. I feel like even in like with my day job, not like that there's any sex involved, but just like I always hear the phrase like we need a provocative or like a sexy headline. And like just like that, the way that they say it is just so weird, but like it's like I know what they're saying because I understand like that appeal of like, okay, you got to make it sexy, you got to make it like
we're going back to consumer behavior.
Yeah. I know.
What gets that monkey brain to turn around?
Yeah. Exactly. But kind of circling back on like how you kind of mentioned it, but kind of like trying to balance things like as a streamer and like being consistent can be really difficult. And out of curiosity, like, how do you feel like you balance like your mental health, your emotional health, you know, your physical, as well as like all of the things on top of like balancing what you need to do for VTubing and all the big projects that you're working on? Like, how do you balance
Yeah.
all that?
So I'm not gonna claim to be a shining beacon on that front. I mean, I'm all over the place. so,
Yeah, yeah.
so, but I do take time, or at least I try to take time to slow down, take a step back, being like, okay, how many things am I actually like trying to work on right now,
Yeah.
and am I letting things get out of control? I think my biggest pushback that I get for myself is that I'm not generally a very social creature.
Mm.
Uh, I enjoy social settings, but only for like an hour or two. you know,
Right.
After that, it's like I'm gonna crawl back into my cave and just like do my own thing. It's like that's me. But so streaming actually, there's I don't know if it's a mental barrier or what it is, but I have like a social battery, and
Mm-hmm.
streaming has like a multiplier on it. I can't explain it, which is bizarre because it's like I'm not throwing my flesh out there. I'm not. It's a funny character just wasting time streaming to the void. So
Mm-hmm.
it's I wonder. It's like, man, is this a self-imposed kind of social anxiety, or what is this? I still don't quite have an answer for it, but yeah, I say my biggest thing holding me back is just the mental of being social in this manner, because it's also super foreign to me, right? It's not something I grew up with. It's very freaking weird. Any social encounter that I ever had growing up was face to face, right?
Right.
uh Heck, it wasn't really until half my life ago that cell phones became, commonplace. So yeah, I don't know if that maybe has something to do with it. There's like some ingrained lizard part of my brain that's just conditioned to like the differences of social condition, but it's that's probably the thing that gets me stuck on, that I get stuck on the most.
Mm.
But outside of that, as far as projects and kind of balancing time and work and all that, definitely I think there's a lot of productivity that comes out of focusing on kind of one project at a time, and I know I don't do a good job at it because when I start something, it's like there's a perfectionist in me that keeps poking me on the side, being like, hey, you gotta do it, you gotta finish that, you gotta keep it going, you can't stop, keep doing it, keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a struggle because it's like, yeah, if you start something, you should try to finish it, but at the same time, it's, well, you don't want to get to a point where you have so many things you started, you start falling into your own self-imposed like decision paralysis, right? Of
Mm.
having too much weight from the things that you've kicked off. So like Project Hivecore is a little community project that I started, and I find like as I work on the Dungeon Core tabletop RPG, I'm spending less time on the Hivecore stuff, and I've cut back on my own streaming and getting commissions because it's like, hey, my stream and my commissions are a little less important than the community and this little personal TTRPG project I'm working on, right? So I think I like the rule of three personally. So I think if you have, maybe three projects that you can rotate between, it's manageable. But if you're the type that can, focus a week and get one project just done with, it's like getting your homework done, the week that you received it versus the week before it's due, right? It's
Mm.
it's a different, you get a different mentality kind of walking through it when you don't have to think about it. And it's weird to me that so many people, including myself, have like fallen into this behavior of like procrastination.
Mm.
It's curious to me, like, how did this happen? Because the intellect in me at least says like, yeah, of course you should get it done as soon as possible, that way you don't have to think about it. It's like chores, right? You get chores done and you stay on top of them so that they don't stress you out, right? But for some reason, when it comes to projects, like if I don't have like a reversed timetable, so I pick like a finish line and then I reverse engineer when I have to do certain things. That
Mm.
seems to work pretty well for me. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I think we're not. I think society as a whole, and maybe I'm making excuses for myself, I don't know, but I think we're not really raised to think about like self productivity. We're thought more in terms of like social productivity. It's different. So I don't know. It's curious.
That's fair. I mean, I've like talked to some commissioners that have told me like they're used to like people telling them what to do, like teachers, like them being raised in the with teachers and even like private schools where professors telling them, all right, don't forget to turn this in or do this, right? And then like growing up and getting into a career where they constantly have a manager on their ass to do things, right? So like when they leave that realm and they start doing freelance work, they almost like don't know how to handle themselves. And so I've experienced that. But I agree. Like, I think it's not built into us because we're raised, like, it's not until, like, I would say college or university where, like, suddenly you don't have to ask to go to the bathroom anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And there's people who won't because they have to ask, and they'll just hold it until the end, and then they'll rush out to go to the restroom. I've seen it.
Have you ever, when's the last time you peed in your pants? There you go. When's the last time you peed your pants or the bed? Huh?
High school.
High school, okay.
Because I was a swimmer.
I see. Okay. Did you...
Don't act like it doesn't happen. Everyone knows it happens. If you swim, if you're in the ocean, you know it's out there.
Yeah, all right.
You're swimming in whale sperm in minutes.
There's two types of people in this world. People who pee in pools, in oceans, and liars. Those are the only two kinds of people.
Exactly.
Did you like were you just doing like, I don't know if this is a dumb question. I've only gone to like 2 swim meets. But like, what were your like things that you did? Like the freestyle or like backstroke or like what was it, if I may ask? Or like water polo?
I was terrible at all the strokes, so I did the long distance one. So there was something called a 500 meter. So I would do that because back then I was doing water polo and swimming. I think it was like 3 years or 5 years total. So between the two, but yeah, water polo was a ton of fun. Do recommend the ongoing secret war between water polo and footballers exists.
What? Wait. Pause. What do you mean? What? I didn't know this existed.
So people who play football, right? You know, football is like the jocks of the jocks in high school, right? Maybe even in college, right? Because, you know, if you think about jocks, you're probably thinking of either baseball or football, or at least in the States.
Okay.
We're talking about American football.
Yeah.
Not football. But there was always a joke, at least in the community of water poloers that I was a part of, which is, man, water polo, like if you got someone who played water polo to start running on a field, they could pull it off. If you get someone who was playing, you know, running and tackling people in the water, they drown.
Nah.
Because water polo is football under the water. Like you don't see the MMA boxing that is going on with their legs. You know, it's there is kicking, there is pinching, there is pulling, there's all sorts of BS happening under those waters. Yeah. So there was an argument. It's like, man, guys who are playing football have no idea. They couldn't handle water polo, but they just make fun of us because we're in Speedos.
Oh, I see.
They can't handle the truth.
They can't handle the. Maybe you guys are just the night. You guys know you look good in the Speedos. That's why they're jealous.
They're just, yeah, exactly. They gotta sweat and put on war paint. We get to stay cool in the water.
That's true. Nice. I think I went to like one like water polo thing because my cousin was in water polo, but he just happened to be in the area because he's from Canada. So sorry, I don't know why I had to say that, but it was a very interesting thing because I couldn't tell what was going on, but I was like, how are they staying afloat for that long? Like I will drown after like 2 minutes of trying to tread the water. So
there's a maneuver called egg beatering, which if you know what an egg beater in the kitchen is, it's, you know, 2 prongs that spin around to beat eggs, right? We're doing that with our leg constantly.
Dang.
Yeah. And you're doing it in like a sitting position, so it's more like you're almost you're baking a cake.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was a interesting thing to learn. Yeah, yeah. But a lot of swimmers in the ocean also, I think, just naturally learn it. So surfers, I think, are fairly good at it because they're basically making similar motions while they're sitting on the board. It's just they got the board there to help float. So, anyways, we got sidetracked.
I mean, it's cool. It's cool. I like talking about it. I mean, I asked the P question, so
that's right.
That's how we got on that.
That's how we ended up here.
Did you ever like? Sorry. No, I gotta ask. Did you ever like pee on someone to try and get them to go away? Cause like they're trying to like block you from getting the, I don't know, ball thingy. Have you ever done that tactic? Oh, the silence. I'm just kidding.
What your peeing situation looks like, but I struggle to pee in a combat situation.
That doesn't make sense. Yeah. I don't know, fight or flight. Okay.
I guess if you're a raccoon, maybe. I mean, are they like rabbits where they eat and poo at the same time? I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure it's possible.
You literally scare the shit out of them. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, we don't intentionally pee on other people, Kōri.
Damn. No, I know it sounds silly, but like I knew someone who was like in wrestling, and they did like weird tactics like farting in people's faces and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
So
yeah.
I had to ask. I'm just curious because
it's probably the reason why a bunch of wrestlers end up with infections.
Oh yeah.
Infections.
No, it's a known thing. Apparently, it's pretty bad.
Oh,
a lot of athlete's foot is what I've heard. So,
oh. That's actually one of the good things about the pool is that with all the chemicals in the pool, man, my hair got bleached, my skin was smooth. I didn't have any like weird athlete's foot problems. It was pretty nice.
Nice, but you just smelled like chlorine, probably, right?
That is true. Yeah,
You just smell like pool
all day long. Exactly. Yep, that is a fact.
Jeez, very nice. Did you do any other sports or just like the swimming, water polo stuff?
No, that was really the big stuff. It was funny because I didn't actually want to do a sport. It's funny thinking back to those days because I never considered myself a jock, but nowadays I think back to it and I'm like, oh my god, I was with the other sports people. I was hanging out with them at lunch. I was totally in the jock group.
Well, that's you guys call it jock group, but the actual jocks, the American football jocks. I'm just kidding.
That's fine. Yeah. And then those nerds playing tennis during lunch break.
That's so funny. Dang.
Yeah, fun fact about if you're in the pool long enough to the point where your hair starts bleaching, like I had like really light, like brownish hair, even though my hair naturally is more dark brown to the point of black. Mm-hmm. But it's funny because it was like super soft because I'm imagining the chemicals kind of ate away at it, but at the same time all I had to do was put my hand like through my hair, shake it a bit, and it was pristine.
Nice.
I never had to comb ever.
There you go. So you got a makeover, you get your hair done, everything while doing the sport.
Exactly. I never had grime under my nails. Man, the pool is like a natural spa.
Yeah, natural spa. Did you? Oh, out of curiosity, did you like? I know this you don't have to answer this if it's too personal, but did you like shave like every hair on your body? Because I knew some swimmers who did that. Really?
We did before competition because I don't know if it's superstition, but like there were some hairy guys and they probably got because the hairs they catch like air and they catch molecules, right? So you are technically getting a little bit of drag when your body hair catches bubbles and all sorts of stuff. So and you do feel it, the day after you fully become mole rat.
I know, it's like a mole rat.
yeah. But yeah, the day or two after when you're jumping in the water and swimming, you feel like a underwater torpedo. You're zooming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to...
It's a very bizarre feeling. You feel like you're wrapped in a hydrodynamic bubble of just superhuman speed.
Nice. Okay. I guess I gotta shave my head the next time I go swimming.
No, that's what caps are for.
Oh, darn. No, I got the natural cap.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Yeah, just take the hair off.
There you go. Can you make? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but is there any like analogy you can make between something or you learned or things that you did in water polo with like VTubing? Out of curiosity,
VTubing.
can you make that connection?
Oh, maybe not from water polo, because water polo was really just physical.
Yeah, that's fair.
But with swimming, so there was two kinds of swimmers that I found. There was those that had like pace and stamina, which is what I had. So like I could swim forever at my pace, right? Like if you weren't burning my battery in the water, I'll just go lap after lap after lap. Whereas others would tire out and they'll take a break. But then there were those that would have bursts of speed, right? Where they will sprint and they will do some crazy time for like a 50 meter, 100 meter, 200 meter, whatever, right? And I could never reach the speed that they were able to do, right? Like that burst of power to just blast through and force the water behind you type of a deal. So when it comes to VTubing, I think there's two ways that you could take a lesson from swimming, which is if you're gonna go fast, you know, have that drive and effort there. Don't go fast just for the sake of it and burn out at the end of it. And if you're not moving as fast as you like, well, if you have the time, take your time, enjoy the swim, the journey, and you'll reach your destination, whatever number of meters that may be. So, I don't know. There's probably a message in there somewhere.
Nice. Yeah.
Also, shave all your hair.
Yeah. I mean, no one's gonna see it, so there you go.
Exactly. You know? Who knows? I might not be wearing a shirt right now. You'll never know.
Oh, all right. Wait a second. Hold on. This isn't the lewd tuber. All right. Just kidding.
What do you mean? You're wearing beads.
Oh, you're right. I know. We got that little ribbon. Yup.
Yeah.
A little bit of blush and makeup. Yeah, that's true. I got the length of my tail. Wink wonk. Wink wonk.
Oh. She's going there.
I'm sorry. All right, I'll stop. All right, getting back on track. I wanted to kind of circle back on what you mentioned about social battery. And streaming with that social battery. I feel like, at least in my experience, I definitely feel you when you say like streaming and maintaining a social battery while you're streaming and chatting with chat or whatever. It's so much different than like anything I've ever experienced.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's because I don't know. Maybe this is just me looking too deep into myself, but I'm like thinking really fast and hard like throughout while I'm live because I'm like I don't want to mess up. You know, like I no matter like everything I say is important. Everything that I do is needs to be for a reason and needs to either be goofy or, you know, be Kōri or mean something. And so I'm constantly thinking about like how do I be that character? How do I like, you know, say this message, right? And then there's chat, right? Which is they're always great, but at the same time you're like thinking about you're constantly on the spot to respond immediately almost to like every message that comes in. And I feel like that's super tiring after a while. You know, like I can't do streams for like longer than like 3 hours anymore because it's just like that whole time I feel like I have to be on my toes, like just staring and trying to figure out like, okay, what do I say to this? And what's funny to contrast kind of something that you were talking about earlier is that I've actually been enjoying the streams where I actually game as of late because I get that a little bit less. Like I don't have to like I feel a little bit less like forced into a corner with like how much I have to respond to chat and like, you know, entertain chat, talk about interesting topics or think about stories on the top like immediately, how to relate, all that crap. Like I feel like when I'm playing a game, like I just gotta talk about the game. Like it's so much more like straightforward and linear for me. And to your point, it can be kind of boring at the same time because like you're just focused on the game and like that's the only thing that you're talking about and doing. But for me, it's been kind of like a breath of fresh air because I don't have to like be so, I don't know, crazy about chat and like just I don't know. I really do feel like a raccoon when I'm like streaming like a just chatting
Yeah.
stream. Yeah, because there's just so much going on.
Yeah, that you bring up a point that I don't know if I fully considered, which is yeah, you VTubing. This is one of the reasons why I'm like VTubing, man. If I was born a few years later, I would have just live streamed myself. But VTubing is in particular very busy, right? Because you gotta, yeah, that might be it. You're processing a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
You're right. Between you got your stream, you got your topic, you got the format of the stream. Because if you're trying to make like a show out of it, right, you want to have some kind of a structure. You
Right.
got chat to pay attention to. If your model has toggles or whatever, you gotta remember that. If you have scene changes, you gotta remember that. So you're just like constantly on like full alert for anywhere from 1 to 6 hours.
Right, exactly.
Just hyper processing everything that you got to do, and some people do it better than others. Sure, fine. Um, but yeah, I think the VTubing side, it's easy to underestimate just how much like it's almost multitasking in a way, where you have to split your attention between what is chat doing, what am I supposed to be doing, what am I supposed to be doing to make myself look like I'm doing the things I want to do.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then like making sure that you stay on topic, because depending on how your live streams are formatted, right, you want to make sure that your viewers are here for something. I mean, you're competing for time when it comes to this online endeavor that many people pursue. So you got to consider, right? It's like what are people getting out of it? And I think I've kind of just thrown that in the trash. I'm just like, you know what? I'm working on my own little things. I don't really need to blow up. I probably don't even want to blow up. I don't even know what to do if that ever happened. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, if you're playing a game, you can kind of get distracted by the game, right? You don't have to really interact with chat super heavily because if something's going on. But I think you do a decent job. I still remember pretty fondly. What was that game that you played where the hole gets bigger the more things you like?
Oh, it's that raccoon game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the raccoon game. It's funny there's a raccoon in it. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
I thought you did a really good job playing that game, because it's a question of what are you adding to the game, right?
Yeah.
Because anyone could play the game, anyone can go out and watch somebody else play the game, but what is it that you're adding to the experience of this game? And I think maybe the parallel with the raccoon, maybe it's just you're sucking and destroying things, and that game was like your raccoon personality gamified in a way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So maybe there's some parallels there, but overall, I remember just you and chat, and I was contributing a little bit, just dying at how silly and stupid the game is. So like that was a good time. But when folks play certain games out there, there's a lot of times I'll go through the list of recommended or people who I have already followed, and or they're streaming, and I jump in. It's like, all right, what are you guys up to? And you got to consider, the average viewer that's not an avid follower, they're gonna click on your stream, they're gonna stay there for like 2 seconds, and if you don't capture them, bye-bye.
Yeah, that's true. That's how it is.
Reality of short attention span out here. But so I'll do something similar where it's like I'll walk in, but not for the intention of finding something to stream. It's more trying to collect who's actually doing something interesting in the idle time, or just the random time that I poke my head in, right? Like, is there something aesthetic that captures you? Is it something with their, like, are they always talking? It's what irks me about channels, and I don't know how good of a job I do at it, but there's channels out there where people will want to stream, right? They, whether they VTube or whether they live stream, it doesn't matter. Like, you want to be a streamer, then bro, you cannot sit there being quiet unless you are like the top 10 on the leaderboards of whatever you're playing.
Yeah.
You can't, like, people aren't coming to you just to watch some rando play a game if you're not the best. So like you got to add commentary or add value in the form of educational information. Maybe you just know a shit ton about the game. Maybe you're, a crackhead and you want to make people laugh and be funny. There's a few things you can try to, work on, but yeah, silent streams concern me because I pop in there. It's like, okay, what is this channel about? What is it for? And it breaks my heart to see because it's like they made the effort to go live, right? There's something to I think you can respect for the fact that they've put themselves out there. They've taken the effort to go out there. There's thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who are just there watching videos. No offense to anyone out there. But there's a ton of people who are just watching videos and only a handful who are making videos, right? And if you click live, you're at least a foot in the, both worlds at that point, right? So, respect to that. But at the same time, you can't just be there quiet even if you have no one watching. Like that's the whole I think that's why I like YouTube over Twitch. It's like Twitch, you will literally be a grain in the sand or a droplet in the ocean. It's really rough on Twitch.
Yeah.
Whereas YouTube, it's not about the live stream. It's not about the audience you have when you're on or when you're making your content or whatever it is that you do. It's about the content when it's uploaded, right? So who's coming in and who's watching what you had to present, what you had to show.
Yeah.
So I think I like that side of YouTube, or at least the audience of YouTube. So, but yeah, what are you adding to the stream? And I question this every day I go live.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I do a good job at it, but I hope to contribute in ways. I think my intention personally is I want to contribute to the community, not to my channel more so. So it's a slightly different take on it, but yeah, if you're a streamer, you gotta have a passion, a direction, which is going back to your comment earlier about your passion being to create these stories and share those stories. I think it's rare that someone finds a kind of one track what to put on that pedestal of passion, because the earlier you find it, the better. And I think parents do a terrible job encouraging people to choose
right.
one,
Yeah.
which is probably part of the reasons why there's so many people running around with their heads cut off. It's like parents never really told me or encouraged me, teachers never told me or encouraged me, and it's like it's not until you leave the schooling system that you're like, am I even passionate anymore?
Right. Yeah.
But the fact that you have a degree of consistency with your channel and your content, which is regardless of you being a goofball, you've done the music, you've done the game, you've done the writing, right? It's all under the umbrella of a creative outlet on top of VTubing being a creative outlet. So it's like you got that going for you, whereas there's a lot of folks who maybe don't, and there's a lot of folks that I feel haven't even considered it, which is a little bit more pressing. Right? It's like, okay, you want to walk down this direction. Why? Right? Why?
Yeah.
Right? What do you get out of it? Hopes and dreams aside, what are you trying to get out of it? But then two, right, because it's an entertainment sphere, or it's an entertainment vertical, it's what is the audience getting out of it, which is I think what most people forget to ask, which is what is the audience getting out of it? Because without the audience, you don't get anything out of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, it's again, it's a very new ecosystem that really I don't think. I mean, there's a handful of people who saw potential in it early, which there's some big names in the Hall of Fame from just the streaming world in general, and the VOD and the videos and the YouTube before it was CorpoTube, right? But nowadays, there's so many people out there. You definitely need to figure out what path you want to walk down when you're doing it, because if not, you end up like me, where you have too many avenues that you want to explore.
I feel that. I mean, there's always so much you could do. I mean, I think that's part of the joy of being like a semi-anonymous figure like on the internet. It's like you literally could do anything. And that's what's so there's like with that point, it's like there's almost too much to do. Yep. Yeah, and out of curiosity, how would you say, like, I think it sounds like the first step, right, would be like to ask yourself why you're getting into VTubing, you know, what are you passionate about with it, and what you feel like your audience would take away. But how else would you say people could improve on, like, not being silent? Because I see that a lot too, but like I don't really know how to like tell someone, like, you know, how to not do that. Like, you could say don't do that, but like what are the ways that, you know, Dragon, for example, you, like, how do you not stay silent? Like, I know you're pretty educational. Whenever I come in on like your streams, or you know, what comes to mind is like the hunt streams, for example. Like, I know nothing about the game, but like whenever I come in, you'll talk about like what you're doing, you know, you'll kind of obviously give a nice commentary of what's going on in the game, and I find that really enjoyable. But I don't know, like, what are your kind of secrets, if you say what you will, but like secrets to like staying on top of, like, you know, being present?
Yeah, you know, that's a funny question, because even IRL, when I meet with strangers, it's I run into the same problem where it's just a one-sided conversation. I don't know what it is. There's a lot of folks out there who just maybe don't know how the conversation works. Maybe, you know, they're in their room and going from school to home and they just don't interact with people. I don't know what you guys are doing out there, but it's not really difficult. You know, you just share what is it I'm thinking about. You share curiosities, so that might be in the form of like questions to whoever you're engaging with. It might come in the form of explaining, right, what you're doing, or the point of something you brought up. So, I mean, hell, when you're playing games, like, I think when you're playing games, you have no excuse to be silent, because the game itself is a distraction, right, for the audience visually, and sound wise, the game is already providing some audio. Sure, maybe, you know, you want to listen to the audio and whatnot, but like, if you're familiar with the game, explain what's going on. You never know when someone pops in who doesn't know what's going on, right? And yeah, you might sound like a broken record, but as long as you're not putting every point under like a beacon, like, hey, stop, listen, that thing is a clue. You need to pick it up. It's like, no shit, Sherlock. But it's like, okay, we're gonna walk over, we're gonna get this clue, which is gonna help us find the bounty. Let's go.
Right.
There's a way to make that conversation kind of flow. So, yeah, talking about what you're doing, especially if you're familiar with the game. If you're not familiar with the game, you know, express your reaction to what you're seeing for the first time, whether that's surprise, frustration, anger, sadness, whatever. I mean, hell, there's plenty of popular streamers out there that even if you watch like one or two videos, you can see that unless they're like reading something or trying to process something from the chat, they're always blabbering about something, right? And the nice thing, if you do find one or two people at minimum to start chatting with you, you could always use chat as a fallback to be like, oh, that's a good point, bring that up. Oh, that's a good, you know, something to bounce off of, let's bring that up.
Yeah.
So yeah, explaining what you're doing, expressing how you're feeling, even just asking a question to the void, right? Even whether you have no watchers, I'm sorry, or one guy watching, or if you're on YouTube and it's like, it's not about who's watching, it's about who's potentially going to see it after the fact, right?
Yeah.
Pose a question, right? Like, man, like, I feel like this is such BS. What do you guys think? Like, it could just be open-ended. There's ways to do it. I just don't understand the struggle, because yeah, I don't know what it is about conversation that some find difficult, but that's my perception of it.
Nice. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I agree. I think for me, like, my advice that I've always kind of mentioned was like, write down like topics on, like, you know, I mean, I'm a Google Suite kind of gal, but, you know, wherever, a document or notepad, or even on a notebook, like, write down a bunch of topics that you could talk about on your stream, in case you forget, because I constantly forget like what I'm gonna say on stream, so I tend to write stuff down so that way I remember, while I'm just like a blubbering mess.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a very good point, because especially if you have certain topics you want
talk about,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to like, okay, I have 4 things I want to talk about, and if you don't write them down, you might slip past number 2 or number 3 without even realizing it. That
Exactly.
may or may not come from personal experience.
Same.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would just say that, and like when you are playing games by yourself, just practicing like reacting to things. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but like whenever I played games, I would just be reacting to whatever is happening on the screen, and that usually helps, like, because then you just get into a habit of doing that, and you don't have to think about it anymore. So it doesn't have to be like a conscious effort, you know. So that might
When
help.
I think about it, I've actually had friends tell me, because before I started streaming,
Mm-hmm.
I would hang out in Discord. I have a band of bros from the university days. We played League of Legends a lot and
Wow.
got close and all that fun stuff. You know, they're my bros. But we someone has told me a couple times now, like when I play games, I just blurt shit out. like when I'm playing Hunt, for example, for those familiar with me doing that. Like when I'm getting shot at, I might be like, oh, you know,
Right, yeah.
I might be reacting in a certain way, and I've been told that I do that off stream. So this was something that I guess I already did, but it also I feel like it comes from the days of couch co-op, because I actually got to enjoy couch co-op. So when I'm playing with my brother, or my cousins, or family, or friends, or whatever, doing Smash Brothers, or playing Mario Kart and all those fun classics, right? There was always the couch trash talk.
Yeah.
So maybe a way to think about it is, you know, just treat your stream like you're on a sofa and just start trash talking everything. Just I
And get canceled. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, getting canceled. You know what? This cancel culture BS. Everyone out here is so afraid of getting canceled. Everyone's checking themselves before they wreck themselves. So don't wreck yourselves. Get some bandages. Learn some lessons. You know, it grows back stronger. I promise. But don't go full retard, because we're not allowed to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here. Next topic. I'm just kidding.
Topic.
Oh yeah, you were talking about you know, why you like YouTube over Twitch and stuff, and something that someone like I talked with someone, I don't want to name them in case it was like a private matter, but they talked to me kind of about their experiences on Twitch, and they mentioned how like Twitch, and I agree with this. I don't know about you, but we'll talk about it. But they talked about how Twitch chat was like in control of the stream in a way. Like they didn't feel like they could be in control, because like there's so many redeems, so many things happening on Twitch. You're getting rated and whatnot, and just the overall culture of the audience on Twitch can be kind of like toxic, and like not, if you're trying to like make honest, like your own unique honest content, it can be tough, because people in chat, for example, are begging you to have an era redeem, or to say hi honey, you know what I mean? Like they ask for these redeems, and I remember like early on, like I thought it was cool, until like when I tried to start talking about something that was important to me, I'd get like a D's nuts, and I'm like, god damn it, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to talk about something that interests me, and then I just get a bunch of redeems and like get distracted, and it doesn't feel like it has any weight anymore. And so that used to frustrate me a lot.
Oh, I'm gonna hurt some feelings.
Okay, let's go. All right, lay it down, Dragon. Lay it down.
So, I get the viewer is the viewer, right? They're your audience. But if they are someone who claims to be your supporter, then bro, support the stream. Don't railroad and try to get it to crash and burn. Like, whose side are you on?
Right.
Whose side are you on?
Right.
So I've seen that happen way too frequently, and it's all fun and games. To a degree, the streamer's responsible, right? It's their stream. It's your rules. It's you know, as long as you allow it, it's on you.
Yeah.
So if you have a redeem that you don't like, it's on you.
Yeah, that's true. That's
put
true.
It there. But if you have people in your chat who are supposed to be friends, supposed to be supporters, I would hope that they would be supportive when they're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not trying to ruin the stream, not trying to bring it down, not trying to. The mods I think get a bit of a hallway pass when it comes to this because they are helping, so they get a little pass on bad behavior. But part of me also thinks mods should just help in other ways. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I think mods in particular, I think, have a bit of a bigger responsibility to be the kind of beacon, the example of what you want to see in your chat, right?
Yeah.
Which I find a lot of mods in random channels that I've explored. I also then wonder, it's like, you're a mod, but what do you do? Whose side are you on?
Yeah.
And I think, well, there's a wide net of circumstances and conditions and variables and personalities that affect, you know, each individual in chat. But yeah, chat is a representation of like your community, right? So I don't know, I struggle with chat, which is why I don't really kind of give them too much attention, which is probably why I don't get chatters as frequently. But yeah, it's, if you want to chat, a part of me almost feels like chat should just be chat interacting with other chatters about the stream. I don't know where this trend of the streamers interacting with chat directly when it's, I guess I understand it. I'm getting sidetracked.
Well, I think that what you're talking about is more of like almost like that parasocial relationship, right?
Yeah, maybe that has something to do with it, right? Like you want to interact with chat because you want that connection. You know, they're here watching your stream. You want to be able to interact with them. You want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. You want to try to address everybody, especially if you're a small streamer. Like every comment you could feasibly interact with, right? And there are times where the chatter, if you stop interacting with them, like disappears. It's like, well, were they a fan or were they just here to waste time and ask dumb questions?
Yeah.
But it's one of the reasons why I don't really set an expectation that as a, here's another segue to this topic, which is how many folks out there are streamers who their chat is made entirely of other streamers.
Right. That I know, that's true. Yeah.
Which that makes it even worse because it's like, okay, do you want me to come into your stream and just talk shit constantly? I doubt it. And if you're a streamer, like, you should have the more insight to how to make the stream more enjoyable, more fun, and how to try to attract people. Like, you're here, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You know? I think it's one of the reasons why I stay out of it. Like, I don't get involved in streamer to streamer stuff too much. I don't make this expectation that I'm going to be at every stream, because if I'm there, I try to add to the stream, or at least add to the chat in a positive light. But at the same time, I don't want there to be an expectation. It's like, because I see most of the other streamers that I interact with as peers, not my audience, right? Like, I don't want you to be my audience. I don't even really want to see you in my streams.
Wow. No kidding.
No, you're obviously welcome, but like, I don't want you wasting your time doing what I'm doing because you got your own thing you're working on, right? It's like, I would much rather us walk step in step rather than having this weird follow me guys, or I need to constantly push you in the right direction. I mean, I'll talk to anyone offline, but it's definitely one of those situations where I see people who get hyped up when they start getting followers, like new channels, right? They like, oh, I finally got 3 people, which I think was like the introductory mark for Twitch at one point, for live viewers or whatnot, right? Concurrent viewers,
right.
I think was 3-ish or so.
Yeah.
And they're so hyped up, and it's like, but who are they? Right? I feel like if you're doing your content justice, that number shouldn't be a struggle to reach, which this is why on YouTube, I like the YouTube formula better, because Twitch is just, there's a bit too much chaos on Twitch with discoverability, whereas YouTube, like when I was streaming Hunt Showdown 4 days a week, I pretty much found that, you know, if you're streaming 4 days a week consistently at the same time in the same game, your numbers will steadily go up. Like I've proven it over 6 to 8 months or whatever it was that I was doing it for. And variety streams have a steady decline, so you gotta really step up your content. to get a steady increase when you're doing variety.
Yeah.
Variety seems to be a bit of a trap because you confuse your audience. Right?
Yeah.
They don't know what they're coming here for, which is why then you have an audience full of other streamers, because like they know what you're about. They know what variety streaming is all about. Like the general populace sees one day it's some random raccoon, one day no. One day you're talking, one day you're playing games, one day it's a different game, another day it's another game, and then you're gone for 3 weeks, right? The audience is like, I don't know what this is. I'm not gonna keep in touch with it.
Yeah,
right?
that's fair.
So that's something else that I think a lot of VTubers and streamers that are starting out don't think about. Maybe it's no one really talks about it. It's that variety streaming. I think the more I've done it and the more I kind of do it, like I'm doing it now just because like I don't care. I'm just streaming when I want to stream at this point. But if you're trying to make something of it and try to grow it, like you need to have some common focus on your channel, whether that be some consistency with a type of game or a theme that your channel has going for it, whether it's, again, a creative outlet, right? We'll make it a creative outlet. I was hoping when I started to do a bunch of like collaborations, but I quickly realized like I cannot keep up after like a dozen people, maybe like 20 people, and I just fall apart. My head feels like it's imploding. It's like, I gotta remember how many names now. Oh my god.
Yeah.
What did we talk about yesterday? Wait a minute, that was today. What? So, yeah, it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agree that people don't really talk about like how being a variety streamer sounds cool on paper, but like actually doing it is so dumb sometimes, because like then you just have to hope, like at least like this is how I feel as someone who's a variety streamer, like you just have to hope that people latch on to you as a person and your personality or the whatever else you bring outside of just the game, because because otherwise like there's no consistency. And I definitely have seen how people who play the same game, like League of Legends every day, like they do grow and they find people who are also interested in that, and just it's a very much more steady and reliable thing to do. But at the same time, I can't imagine doing it like for me or a personality like me, where I just get bored as hell, like doing the same thing over and over again. It's like, how do I keep the content like fresh? But at that point, you're not trying to keep content fresh. You're just trying to build and play the same game.
Right.
I definitely came across someone who in the past who kept on trying to like underhandedly ask me like how to market themselves as a VTuber, but they were somebody who was I wouldn't say pro, but like was up there in another game that they were playing, and they kept struggling with trying to figure out, like for months I could see them struggling with, do I want to be a VTuber or do I want to be this for example like Valorant player. You know what I mean? And like it sucks to kind of see that. Like I didn't like them, but it's still it's not something that I wish on people. Like it sucks to see that struggle, because it's like then you just kind of have to accept like whatever it is that you're trying to do. You either try to be a VTuber and then now you have to have that set of problems, or you try to focus on that one particular game and then you just get kind of like burnt out from that game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why, right? Gaming, if you're going to be a variety streamer that's playing games, there's a reason why the mainstream people who do variety, they're constantly following the latest trend when it comes to what game came out, what game has a recent update, what game are people watching, because you have to if you want to steal a piece of that market share, as they call it.
Let's go corporate talk.
Man, yeah. So there's a reason, right? Which is why I also find that I don't want to be a gaming streamer. Which is, I play Hunt because I like Hunt, but a lot of the games that I play are a bit more. They're not super mainstream, and I don't really like the mainstream games. I actually never really liked the mainstream stuff. I usually saw what was popular. I was like, I'm gonna ignore that. What's next?
Yeah.
That was always kind of my attitude when it came to what was super popular and all the craze, because I was just like, bro, like you guys don't feel dumb getting hyped about the same shit over? I can't help it. I'm sorry. But yeah, I've noticed, you know, obviously if you follow the craze, you're competing with the other people following those trends. But if you have consistency, like I remember I streamed No Man's Sky for like three, only a handful of times. Probably you can count it less than one or two hands. And I got some guy that popped in. It's like, dude, I subbed to you because I love No Man's Sky, and I didn't keep up with it. So sorry to that dude out there.
Sorry to the homie.
But there are people who love the game that you want to play. So if you're consistent, you will eventually attract those people. Like there's another game that I enjoy called Outward. Very niche game, not super popular at all. And there's only like two people, maybe three content creators on YouTube who actually do content for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, man, if I really wanted to penetrate this game's audience, like they're not super consistent with it because the game's been out for a long time. There's really no updates. But it's old content at this point, right? There's nothing for like 2023, for example. You could theoretically come in there, take a game that you really, really love, that you've done a search for, and there's not a whole lot going on there, and just start talking about it and put 2023 at the end of it. People will look for the latest news on a particular game, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of behavioral choices that you can think about, and you can even just think about it in your own, like, why do I make the choices that I do? I feel like a lot of people don't think about that. Why do I do the things that I do? Where did this come from? What is it influenced by? If it's something that I learned way back when, like, how is it influencing my decision making? Is it like just a, psychological, trigger behavior? What is it?
Yeah.
And you can get a lot of insight just on your own habits. I mean, I watch a lot of product entrepreneurs, right? Like e-commerce stuff. And a lot of them talk about how their first thing that worked for them was solving a problem in their own life with a product that they found that was like, dude, that would actually be useful for me. And they went all in on it and it worked, right? It's like, I wonder why, because you're not the only one that has a particular thought.
Right, yeah.
It's incredibly common for, others to think similarly. And as much as I question that, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking questions, there's no such thing as a dumb question. The only dumb question is when you ask it more than twice.
There you go. That's a nice way to put it. That's true. Yeah, on that note about people asking like why it is that you're doing something or whatever, I think like that's definitely something that I feel like VTubers don't talk about or think about. A lot of times we see like, oh, this big VTuber, released a new song, but we don't ask like, well, why or how. And then when you are sitting there like trying to think about projects that you want to do as a VTuber, you're like, oh yeah, I think a song would be cool. But again, it's like you're not really thinking about like all that it takes to get there and like why it is that you're trying to do that. And I think that's something that like, just from my experiences, I definitely learned with the album that I did. I was like, I think I had the wrong expectations going into it. To be honest, I was like, well, this is what like the bigger VTubers have done, and I think maybe I could do it too, and like maybe it'll help me grow. And I had that like kind of high expectation, and then I released it, and I just got like this flood of like hateful comments and all this crap, and I was like, I was really like disheartened, and I realized it was really just because like I wasn't thinking about like, well, how this impacts me as a streamer, because an album doesn't impact me as a streamer, it impacts me as a musician, but not a streamer. And so I definitely realized that like, the projects that I do, at the end of the day, like I have to be the one that is the most interested in my projects, not anything else. Yeah, of course. But there's also that idea of like expectations. Like you cannot expect anyone else to care about this project. Like for me, I've now come to this like realization that like if no one else saw this project, would I still be happy with this project? Because like that's my expectation now, is like that no one's gonna see it. Like when the game came out, when I released the game, I was like, I didn't expect anyone to play it. And then when there were people playing it, I was like, holy shit, this is cool. And it wasn't until that hit that I had that oh cool moment. But at the same time, I had to lower my expectations and kind of only selfishly in a way care about my own happiness with the project. So
Sure. Yeah, that actually, you bring up a point that if I hadn't written it down, or if I had, but no, yeah, it's. I don't know if it's a societal thing. I don't know if it's a parental thing or an educational thing, but we also don't seem to value the journey as much as the destination anymore, which is an odd kind of phenomena. So, like the expectation for the perception of the result versus the self-satisfaction of the journey, right? Regardless of all the shit that I might say, it's still important to take those steps, right? You may not know, but if you have an idea, start walking into the woods because as you do, you'll learn, right? And like you released the album, I'm sure you've taken something from that experience, whether good or bad, right? It doesn't even matter if it was good or bad. It's the fact that you did it.
yeah.
That is praiseworthy. And hopefully when you do another one, you take some nuggets of information that you want to improve on, and your next one, does better. And eventually you repeat that enough times, you'll reach a point where it becomes more, I guess, attractive to a wider audience, right? And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, keep busting at it. People talk about the grind and all that, but the grind is really, I think, when you're doing shit that you don't really want to do.
Yeah.
And the grind is definitely, I guess you could feel it when you're doing something you don't really know why or what the fruit of the labor is, right? Which is why I think it's so important that people, especially if you're still young, like if you're in your teens or if you're in your early mid 20s, if you're in your late 20s, you got to really start thinking life stuff too. But like early mid 20s and earlier, you really need to spend some time to think about, go out, break some bones, go out, make some enemies, go out, make some mistakes, because you learn better lessons from failures than you do from success, right?
Yeah.
And you gotta take that action in order for a lesson to come out of it. You got to break that fortune cookie, man. Come on. So, yeah, I don't know. It made me really sad a few years back when I was driving down a road and there was this nice square, just like grass lot in the middle of a very urban, suburban kind of area, and nobody was there. Like, it's surrounded by apartments. There's like no real parks in sight, and it's just an empty grass lot. Nobody's on it. And when I was growing up, there was always somebody goofing around on a grass lot. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's, everyone's indoors on their phones, on their computers, which I get. I mean, it's fun. It's good and all that. But
yeah,
if you're at home doing stuff, like make something, do something, put something out there, which is why I think streaming has blown up as much as it has, because it's a way for people to try to outreach and show stuff and do stuff. But consider I can't rag too much on the young minds because they don't know what they don't know, and they don't sometimes know until they make a few mistakes and learn about it.
Right.
It's funny. It reminds me of like grandparents who try to tell you like a life lesson, but you don't really understand it until they're gone.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you remember when grandma used to say some stupid shit? It just sounded like she was some kooky old woman. And then someone grows up and has kids, and it's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be. So, and then not to mention when you're in your teens and whatnot, everyone feels like they're top of the world at that time.
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like that's pretty common, right? We all feel like we're the smartest we're ever going to be.
Yeah.
We're the strongest we're ever going to be. It's like, you dumbass old parents. What do you know? What do you know? The times are changing.
I'm going to be a VTuber. You don't understand, Mom. This is not a phase.
Not a phase, exactly. Man, how funny would it be if in a few more years, the craze kind of slows down and VTubing is looked back on like goth times were?
No. I think it will. Honestly, I feel like it will. I'm not joking. It definitely feels like it. Cause like I don't know about you, but I've gone into like VR chat. And it's like crazy the amount of children that are on there, and they're saying some crazy stuff, but they're using like these avatars, and I feel like that's part of like that might be a leeway into VTubing is like, oh look, I can be like this avatar or any avatar I want in this world. Well, now I can do it on like a stream. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know. I think it is kind of appealing, I guess, for a kid who is just in this stage of life. They're trying to figure out where they are and who they are, and it's like, well, why not just be safe and be an avatar on the internet and not listen to mom and dad? So
yeah, that's wild. Can you imagine how much money parents dish out for kids these days?
oh yeah, I know, it's crazy. I literally have like I don't know where I heard this. It was either on TikTok or some social media. Someone was saying like, oh yeah, I asked my parents to buy me something for their VTuber model, and I was like, what? I was like, first of all, why are you here? And second of all, what? It's crazy. I don't think as a kid I could ever imagine. Oh, I mean, I guess. I mean, I asked for like Bakugan and stuff like that, but it wasn't a VTuber model, so.
All I want for Christmas is my live 2D. My live 2D.
Oh no. VTuber Christmas Part 2. Oh god.
Actually, I don't remember where I saw this either, but someone was talking about how kids don't need a bunch of toys. It was some old person talking. I don't remember if it was IRL or online, but they were saying it's like, you don't need to buy kids a bunch of toys. You know, just buy them a set of, you know, blocks or something that they can create some stuff with, and let their imagination figure it out. I think about this from time to time because I wonder if we're teaching people from a very young age to not, one, understand their own creativity, but two, just have decision paralysis from like being a toddler, because you give them so many toys that they can't focus, right? Like maybe that's where the whole ADHD epidemic is coming from, is that we have so much stuff that we're given as we're young and as we're growing, and like video games don't make it any better because it's just a cartridge, right? You know, or it's just a little $5 download, guys. Come on, mobile games. You know, and we're giving that to kids too. So there's so many options that they just can't focus. They're jumping from one thing to another until they're bored of it. So yeah, when I heard that, I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, like when I was a kid, before you know, Christmas rolled around, I didn't really have a whole lot of toys. Like I had maybe one Lego set a year from Christmas, and then as I got older, I would get more gifts. Right? And then nowadays, like kids are getting how many presents under the tree for Christmas? I remember one Christmas, my parents went all out. They gave me like 6 or 8 presents. I'm like, holy shit, what do I do with all this? Like, I didn't know what to do with myself.
That's sweet.
But I think I would have been happy with just one, you know? It's like as a kid, you don't really know. I mean, I guess if a kid's spoiled, they'll complain. Johnny got 20 presents. Why did I only get 18? But yeah, I think about this kind of weird random shit. Just like, I really wish I took psychology growing up. I'm fascinated by it. I feel like I made an error in my technical nature.
You could still you could still study psychology stuff. I remember someone said that they just walk into university classes and just sit there like a student, and they get the class for free. Because like most campuses you could walk into a class. You just have to like know what class that is, and then you'll be fine. Like I remember like I had friends. Yeah, I had friends that just sat in with me on my classes. So I mean. And no one knew any better. It just looked like a bunch of college students. So I mean, yeah, if you want free, and then you don't have to pay tuition. That's all I'm saying. But no, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Anyway, yeah.
No, I'm so overpaying tuition, man. What a ripoff! You guys are all getting played. We all got played.
We did. I know. It's so. I know. As much as like I think it's important to go to college and university, like. It's such a scam. It's such a scam at the same time.
Yeah. Anyways, that's a topic for another conversation.
Yeah.
I could talk about our failures of education.
Yeah.
An hour or two on its own.
And then we need some tissues. We need to hide our bank accounts and our student debt.
Oh man.
I wanted to ask if you have had any negative experiences with, I mean, obviously, like, you know, you should use code names if they are particular people. But I'm just curious because I don't think you've ever really talked about this on stream, or maybe you have and I missed it. But like, if you've had any, I don't want to say drama because it's not really that. It's more just like a bad experience with like either a commissioner or another streamer, you know, something like that. Have you ever had any negative experiences?
I have. I think there's already a bit of a difference because I am a dude. So I'm not swimming in DMs.
Okay.
We're talking about the audience, right?
Right.
You all know. Don't gaslight falsities. You all know how it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I've had a couple. So I think in the first 6 months I had to ban somebody just all around because they got very clingy and very salty and in a passive aggressive way. Like I'm willing to give almost anyone what's the phrase? I blanked on it. The benefit of the doubt, right? I'll give everyone a chance, or at least I'd like to think I will. I mean, hell, I'll even just talk to random homeless people just to hear what they have to say. You know, they have some wisdom in them, or just crazy
or drugs.
Crack talk.
Yeah.
Just
kidding. I'm kidding.
But no, so this one dude, very early on, I think it was like 6 or 8 months in, there was, I went pretty heavy with trying to meet people and try to find ways to do collaborations, right? Because I think that's what's fun online is seeing people interacting with one another, enjoying their time together, ribbing each other if that's their thing, and sharing experiences and stories, right? You kind of broaden your horizons of sorts.
Right.
And so, you know, anyone who was willing to partake, I was down for it, and I was looking for people who I thought were doing cool things, and I would reach out to them, right? Just, you know, send a hello, like what you're doing. Maybe we can do a collab sometime. Yeah, very, very just basic introduction, and if they bite, then we'll see where it goes, and then if we do a collab, we'll get to know them, and then if we enjoyed it, we'll do some more, right? If it was chill. So that's my typical kind of run through on how to introduce myself to others. But yeah, this guy, so after about 6 months or so, I got a commission piece with the first people that I did collaborations with, and fortunately it was kind of planned, but it was a bunch of space VTubers, right? We all know that I'm part of, or at least familiar with the circle of kind of a space gang out there in the VTubing space. All very fun, cool people. So the first what was it, group plus 2, so there was 6 of us total in the image, and a dude was just, they quote retweeted asking their community why they're being excluded when I had only collabed with like the dude once or twice.
What?
So I wouldn't have minded if it was just a tweet asking about it, because I was like, you know what, I'm not going to assume that they're talking about me even if the timing is suspicious. But they quote retweeted the image I posted celebrating my time with everybody. So that was the situation. I called them out on it in DMs because I don't like this public harassment bullshit. Like,
oh yeah,
bro, the internet, what happened? The bullies won. Like, stop this internet harassing, cancel bullshit. Like, are we really stooping to that level? Like, are we so low where we need to see others suffer to make ourselves feel better? Like, get over it. to justify our outrage. Like, you can be outraged, but there's plenty of situations I've seen where it's like, bro, you should have just solved this in DMs. What the hell you guys
yeah
doing?
I know.
Yeah, there's a degree of maturity I question on the internet. But yeah, so I DM'd the dude, I pinged them, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Like you're like calling me out. Why? It's like this, the purpose of this, if you read the message, was to celebrate the first people I streamed with. Like, you weren't in the first people I streamed with, bro. But it became a big sob fest, and it reminded me of this ex I had. I was with for, I thought I was going to marry this person, and I had to break it off. It was 8 years, and that's a big chunk of my life. And I wasn't willing to deal with that personality again, so I gave them some words to hopefully improve, and why I had to just give a hard stop to this situation that we were in. And yeah, I just had to black him out of everything. So that was unfortunate. Broke my heart. I think it actually kicked me in the nuts in terms of the momentum I had with streaming, because I really don't like being that guy.
Oh yeah.
I really wish the well for anyone that I meet. So even now, my ex, I hope she's doing well. I hope he's doing well. I hope everyone that I've engaged with, are happy in their life, or at least striving towards it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, is because the emotion there is cheap. Not in the superficial cheap, but in the it's the least I could do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is hope that their lives are well, and if I could help, I would love to if I have the means to. But so yeah, that was the situation, and that was probably the only real drama that I've had. Generally, I'm a decent judge of character, so I usually know after one or two kind of interactions, like, okay, this guy's going to be a bit more XYZ, a bit more mature, a bit immature, a bit spicy, a bit ignorant, naive, whatever. So I knew this guy was a bit of a slippery slope, and it just kind of blew up. The timing was poor.
Dang. Yeah.
Yeah, because eventually, if we interacted enough, I'm sure I could have given him some insight. But he was also young. I think he was maybe like 19 or something. So it's one of the reasons why I know with VTubing, it's kind of taboo to ask people their age, but I really like to understand it, not to judge you for your age, but more to understand the degree of your experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how much life have you seen?
That's true.
Like, what is the likelihood that you are a bit more understanding in the grand scheme of the time that we're all here, So that's kind of how I look at age. It's probably one of the reasons why I don't really find my age too special, and I don't celebrate my birthday very much anymore. It's just it's another year of experience.
Aw, but happy birthday!
Yeah.
Let me read the poem again. No kidding.
Where's that kazoo?
The kazoo. Exactly.
So yeah, I wish the internet as a whole, and VTubing I think is an interesting sphere, because we don't really have to. We can be how we imagine ourselves more easily than how we are, right? You can be more expressive. You can literally put the mask on, the hat on, whatever the metaphor is, to play your character. So yeah, I do a terrible job at it because I don't really want to play a character as much as I am acting as one. But yeah, it's something that I wish the community on the internet as a whole encouraged a bit more maturity instead of just troll speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I definitely feel that. I feel like there's not enough people, I don't know, taking accountability for the things that they say, or just things that they do in general, and then like blowing things up and out of proportion. But then again, like,
Sure.
Twitter is like something that it's made to post your, like, the way that the algorithm is, the way that it's set up, like, you're supposed to post your opinion. Like, that's seems to be how it is. And like, but then when you post your opinion, you get people who also are very opinionated, and then it just starts like wars, basically. So
There was I used to be a big fan of debate. I never joined the debate club or anything, or did any sort of debate event, but debates were always fascinating. And I remember seeing a scene or a video or a replay. It was like back in the VHS days. but there was a situation that occurred once where somebody like called out the person. It's like, that idea is stupid, right? Like they stooped to the level of like attacking the character, not the debate, and they got disqualified because by doing so they are no longer qualified for debate, or no longer they no longer have like the mental state that is acceptable for debate, right? Which I think we've just completely thrown out the window online, right? It's like, bro, it defaulting to like personal level insults rather than conceptual insults. I actually learned this from my dad a little bit in hindsight, which is, we were picking up a family member from the airport, and we were driving behind a car, and I don't know if he thought of it this way, but this is how I see it now, thinking back to it. He had said to drivers, like, bro, what, like, man, like, why are you driving like an idiot? And then, being the young little lad that I was in the passenger seat, I was like, yeah, that guy's an idiot. And he, like, without a second delay, palmed my thigh as hard as he could. And I was so confused. He struggled to explain it, but going back to it in my head, I think the message he was trying to tell me is like, it's okay to talk shit, but it's not okay to insult a character, especially when you don't know it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I parallel that to the debate topic where it's like, yeah, if you're trying to have a conversation, if you're trying to make a point, if you're trying to have an argument, if you stoop to just being like you're stupid rather than the idea is stupid, you've already failed. You're the loser in the argument, right? Which we see in relationships a lot.
Uh-oh.
Some of you out there, no, don't act like you don't. It's in Hollywood, everywhere. It's normal. It shouldn't be. I disagree. I object.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It is. It did. You know, something else that, I mean, this is kind of a tangent, but because you mentioned it, like, I feel like also like toxic relationships. Like, I don't know if this just spun out of like the Harley Quinn and Joker phase, but like I feel like more than ever I've seen so many people be like, I can fix them, you know what I mean? Like, and just like, I don't know, it's just so weird. Like, I'm just like, just, you can't even like, you can't even like brush your teeth without hating on somebody. Like, can you just like chill and figure out your own life first? Like, I don't know, it's weird. It's weird. And then like TikTok is such a shit platform. Like, I was on there for a little bit and I hated it. I got the most weirdest people in the TikTok comments, and most of them, most of them I'm sure are probably underage as well. But something that I heard, I don't know if this is interesting to you, but something that I heard was that like they did this study where they created an account under the guise of being like a young female teen and very impressionable age that they were in, and like it was only like 5 videos down, and they got some kind of video that was about food, like eating disorders. And I was like, what? That's kind of crazy. Like, basically, they're trying to say that, like, the argument was that, like, you know, TikTok is pushing this kind of toxic information to impressionable teens about, you know, and it wasn't even, like, one that was, apparently it wasn't, like, positive either. It wasn't trying to give information and educate. It was, like, kind of like a toxic video that was just talking about or romanticizing eating disorders. And I find that pretty crazy, because I've never because like growing up I never really like even knew that much about, you know, something like eating disorders, or even like, and maybe this is a good and a bad thing, but like the mental illnesses and stuff like that. Growing up I didn't know that much about it because it just wasn't something that I was super exposed to. But now that everything is open on the internet, it's kind of crazy. Like, even like the people that, I don't know if you've seen this, but people that pretend to have a mental illness is I'm just like, what are you doing? It's so weird.
That's some next level just degeneracy. I don't even know how to explain it. It makes me wonder. It's like, man, what is the mental like behind the person doing this stuff? Like, do they want to just see the world burn? What is the logic here? I mean, it's bad enough that the TikTok we know is not the proper TikTok that exists from the creators.
That's true.
That dives into, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, great.
Oh, great. I know, right? Man, it's funny. But yeah, just the people seem to just want to double down on the negative. It's weird to me, and it's actually a minority. I'll argue that it's a big minority. It's just with the internet, it's easy for it to appear like more than it is, right? Because all it takes is, say, let's use maybe a parallel that's a bit more relatable, which was like when a mass shooting occurs. It's an extreme example, I know, but like a mass shooting doesn't occur very frequently. Like, in the grand scheme of it, mass shootings don't occur very frequently. I mean, they do happen, but it seems like it's frequent because every news channel starts blasting it
Yeah.
for like an entire week or two, making it feel like it's this ongoing battle, right?
Mhm.
Not to say that shootings don't happen, but I'm talking like someone being really dumb and crazy. So like the idea that somebody out there is faking an illness, I mean, it's a tiny portion of the population, it would be my bet.
Yeah, it's true.
But the fact that, you know, if it gains any sort of virality, if that's a word, or popularity, right, and starts spreading like wildfire, like things on the internet spread like wildfire, which is why things go, you know, we call it viral. So yeah, I think one of the challenges with the internet is that it warps our perception of normal.
Oh yeah.
And I think it takes a degree of maturity to understand that, which is why when I was growing up, it's like, bro, if you were under 18 and you were in a chat room, an AOL chat room, your parents generally came down pretty hard on you if they found out. Like it was something you weren't supposed to be goofing around with irresponsibly.
Yeah.
So nowadays, you know, heck, there are single-digit kids who are on the internet, which is mind-blowing.
Oh yeah, the iPad kids. I know, it's crazy.
iPad kids. Right? Yeah.
They're
Mommy,
little.
I want to buy the premium pack. It's 800% value.
100%. I know. But the Robux.
The Robux.
Oh
But
my
Johnny
god.
has it.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
It's cheaper than Disneyland.
That's true. It's cheaper than Disneyland.
Oh.
That's kind of crazy that like kids start to have an earlier understanding of money as well. Now that I think about it.
Do they though?
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Do they though? It's one thing to understand the spending of money. It's another thing to understand the value of making it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right, let me get back on the topic a little bit better here. But thank you.
I like how we started. Like, we're going to talk about shit VTubers don't talk about, which I think this is shit VTubers don't talk about.
No, yeah.
It's more like people talk.
Yeah. But it's good. It's nice. Okay.
Yeah. No, I enjoy this a lot.
Nice. Me too. But yeah, I think kind of something I wanted to talk about earlier. It has to do with like health, and I'm gonna talk for a little bit here. But I watched this video like, I don't know, a month or two ago, and I can't remember who made the video, so I'm sorry, but it was on YouTube, and they were talking about basically the health of VTubers and why it's unhealthy being a VTuber. And they use clips of like particular VTubers that were in like Hololive or Nijisanji, or even some indie VTubers, and like Pecora from Hololive. Like, she was talking about how they have to take a month hiatus because their voice is all messed up, and they had to, you know, potentially go into surgery and stuff like that. I don't know if that was Pecora or somebody else, but I just remember like there were multiple clips of VTubers that went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, how the hell did you get this messed up? And they're like, I play video games and I sit and I stream, and like they're like, how does that even possible? But
I 30-year-old with a body of an 80-year-old.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like crazy. I feel like no one talks about this, but it actually is pretty taxing to sit here and talk for like pretty much talk for, hopefully, you know, if you're engaging enough, like nonstop for several hours, and you know, not just talking about the social battery aspect of it, but the physical aspect of it. Like, you're just sitting on your ass not doing anything. I remember the first thing that my mom said when I told her what I do. She didn't really understand what I did, but she was supportive of it. The best that you could ask for. And she was like, well, just make sure you like get up and exercise, okay? And I'm like, okay, thanks. But you know, it's very true. Like, I think the past year I've had the most struggle like making time to exercise, because like if I'm not, like, obviously, as most people know, I have castle duties. I do have a career outside of VTubing. So I work my, 7 to 5. And then right after that, I try to whip up a quick dinner. And then I have stream at 6, and like, there's no time to really like have self-care. And I hate that that's not something that I feel like we talk about, like or give enough credit to consistent streamers, or streamers in general. Like, it is so taxing to try to do VTubing on top of a day job, or even in general, because you really are just like, if you're not streaming, then you're probably working on a project, you know, whether that be a song or writing something or working on a website or your Discord or whatever that is. There's always something to do when you're an entertainer. And even when you may not be online on a stream, you're still having to do all these behind the scenes work. And I it's something that like annoys me, because I've had, not annoys me, but annoys me in the sense that like I tell certain people that, or I tell my stream like, oh, I'm taking a break, but I'm taking a break from stream, but I still have work, and I still have my projects. And so then I get these people in my DMs that are like, oh, well, you know, Kōri's on break now, I can like, you know, actually talk to Kōri. But it's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not around. Like I've had people be like, where did you go? Like, why aren't you responding? And it's like, well, it's because like I literally like I still have things to do. Like I might not be on stream, but I'm taking a break so that way I can work on other things. And I don't think people realize that. And it sucks, because like it's so tiring, and there's no time really to take care of yourself. Like my day is jam packed. Like I barely have enough time to take a shower or to make dinner, and let alone have time to go exercise for, 15 minutes a day is all you need, and I can hardly even have time to do that. So it's just so hard.
Yeah. Time management. How do you even?
Yeah.
So as far as health goes, I don't know how this happened, but if you're in the States in particular, like we're just bad about it.
Yeah.
In general, right? Like if you're using, say, like what's the food delivery apps and all that? You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, DoorDash,
yeah.
Postmates, Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If you guys are using these, you've already failed.
Yeah, I know.
You lazy fucks.
Legit.
You're telling me you can't get in your car and go the 5-10 minutes it would take for them to deliver it to you, and you're paying extra for it? Like, are you joking me? Like, take a shower, comb your hair, put a shirt on, and go get your food. Go hunt for your food. Like, it's the least you can do, you plankton. But on top of that, if you cook your own food, that's even better, because at least that's a skill. You know how to cook, you know how to work a stove. You're not burning toast in an oven. I don't know how that happens. Like it has a timer. It tells you what to do. I don't understand. But anyways, sidetracked. So exercise isn't too hard. I'd say the healthiest I've been. It was actually super easy. My diet was protein and veg, maybe some rice. I didn't do like processed bread, because they put all sorts of weird shit in there.
Right.
And then I took a 30 to 40 minute walk around my block, like 5 or 6 nights, because I like the night air. I like walking.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah, so I did that for 6 months. Anyone who tells you that you'll see change in like 1 or 2 months, they're full of shit.
Lies. Yeah.
Yeah, you might notice like a fluctuation of 5 or 10 pounds a week by week, but like your body goes up and down all the time.
Yeah.
Like this idea that a day has a start and a beginning, or a start and an end, also cracks me up. It's like, no, days are consistent. We just put artificial barriers to categorize them. But anyways, yeah, but 40 minute walk around the block, and a very simple diet, and I shaved 10 pounds a month for 6 months, because I hit a point where I was over 200. I was like 210, and I was just like, dude, I was 145 in high school, looking like a Greek god.
Okay, all right, water polo talking right here. Okay,
Exactly.
Speedo.
That's a quote from my dad. But once I was with my ex and eating a bunch of junk food, like we were playing games all the time, we were doing, going out, we were having a good time, right? But with that good time came a lot of just not being responsible for your temple, and so when I pushed past 200, I'm just like, dude, I gotta change this. This is messed up. Like I don't know how anybody who's not like an extreme bodybuilder who's over 200 is like satisfied with that. So. But yeah, all I did was I walked for 40 minutes, and chicken and veg, sometimes some rice if I felt like it, and 10 pounds a month, easy 10 pounds a month. It fell off like butter. It was ridiculous. So it's not hard to do. And another thing that I would encourage is just start going for walks. I mean, if you're at working somewhere and you got like a place across the street that's 10 minutes away, it really blows when work environments are like your lunch is only half an hour. Like that's messed up.
Oh yeah.
But if you can take like a 1 or a 1.5 hour lunch break, yeah, go walk to where you gotta go. Or in the evening, if you're getting groceries and you're in an apartment complex and it's literally a 8-minute walk across the street, go walk and get your food. Don't get in your car for a 2-minute drive. What are you doing? So I think people should just get out more. But maybe I grew up in a different time where that was a bit more commonplace. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I totally get and hear what you're saying, and thank you for the input and advice. But I do think like I agree with everything you said, but I think like in a normal, not normal, but maybe most VTuber brain, they're like, well, I could go walk and do that, but however, I have, X, Y, and Z to do that I need to get ready
Yeah.
for stream tonight. You know what I mean? It's like I gotta get OBS set up or whatever, and it's like I could go for that walk, but I need to get ready for stream, so I'm just gonna sit here and do that and not go on a walk. And it's like,
Here's a fun fact. If you're a fan of esports, if you're a part of an esports team, they're mandated to work out. And the reason being is that a healthy body is a healthy mind. And
Yeah,
a healthy mind is going to let you be a better VTuber. So
it's
you
true.
know, as much as we want to make excuses, I mean, the reality is if you're fit, your brain processes things better and you can react better and you can respond better, which is why esports teams requires a certain degree of exercise for their players generally.
Yeah.
So I get the hesitation. I mean, because like I never grew up with a family or an environment. I guess the water polo was probably the only thing, but this is again going back to what we were talking about earlier, where it's like you have someone telling you what to do, right?
Right.
I never grew up in an environment where like family or friends encouraged like a routine of normalcy to work out or be fit. It doesn't even have to be a workout. It can just have some kind of physical activity, whether that's bike riding, or I've made it kind of my own to just, I like going out for walks in the evenings, right? So I'll go out at night to walk when the cars aren't out and I can actually breathe.
Yeah,
So-
right.
So like that became kind of my norm, but it's still just walking, right? Some people really got into like the gym fitness, right? So the gym membership and going to the gym is kind of their motivation to get in the zone and work out. But VTube, I wish in hindsight, I have a couple good friends who they just do calisthenics. And they can be. I don't know how they're doing these days. They've all moved, but they were ripped just by doing, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, crunches, things that you can do with zero equipment, things that you can do while you're brainstorming your next stream ideas, things that you can do while you're waiting for your microwave to ding. I mean, I don't know why there's not more like normalcy growing up to encourage just the occasional 5-minute do a couple push-ups. Or you know what it is, I heard something on a podcast recently. So I can't speak for the female crowd because I don't know what your day-to-day looks like in a certain sense, but for guys, somebody was talking about how they never had to have this concept of working out, and the reason being is that they would get their workouts walking to work,
Right.
or their work itself was labor intensive, right? So there was a whole time with manufacturing, with industry, with construction, and just before vehicles, where it was normal for guys in particular to be out being physical, and like if you were to get lunch, you had to walk to get lunch unless you were making big bucks to have a private driver or some shit. But yeah, back in those old days before my time, they didn't have to have a concept of working out. When they came home, they were doing yard work, they were building furniture, they were building fences, they were carrying kids if they were a family, doing that kind of stuff. But they were a bit more physical, so the idea of needing to allocate time, extra time, to stay in a good condition wasn't necessary. Which man, when I heard that, I was like, God damn it, that's true. Man, where did we go wrong?
Yeah.
Like, what if personal computers were powered by treadmills?
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
People get so tired of it though. It's like, what do you mean I gotta work and walk to do this?
There'd be a lot of complaints. Yes.
There would be,
No one
right?
would buy it.
Imagine that's one of the things I really liked about like Nintendo is the fact that they at least made an attempt to introduce some sort of like physical activity in gaming.
Yeah.
Like the Wii controllers and such.
Yeah.
And actually with the Switch, you know, they got a bunch of people like in Japan who you know they're traveling gamers. You know, they're not sit at home gamers. They go from like their work and they play in the train or whatnot. So at least Nintendo has made an attempt to introduce something that is physical to the gaming realm. Can't really say that about too many others outside of maybe like VR. But even then. So yeah, I forget what the original question was, but there's things that people can do.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're just talking about health and like balancing like streaming and health. But you know, I think everything you said again is valid, and I just feel like people don't realize, like when they get into VTubing, I think a lot of people don't realize, like you said, just how much work it is and how much it really forces you to think about so many different things at the same time. And then in that same vein, like it kind of stops you from being able to really take care of yourself sometimes. Like you have to, like I've had to make more conscious effort, and I don't know if it's just me getting older or like what, you know, but it's like I've definitely had to make more conscious effort to balance my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health, and then the streaming, you know, and career, whatever that is. Like there's been a lot more of like conscious effort on my end. And there's been many. Yeah, right, exactly. We have to, but I feel like people don't. I feel really bad like hearing about these bigger VTubers that are struggling with their health because they push themselves thinking that it's so easy. Like it sounds easy, right? Like you just sit here and you just talk, but like you don't realize like you're sitting here maybe eating junk food and you're talking, you're putting a strain. If you're not used to warming up your voice, you're putting a strain on your voice. And you're just not really doing much. You're just kind of sitting there, but at the same time, you're also just destroying whatever physical health that you have because you're just sitting there talking to, you know, your microphone.
It's not just VTubing. I mean, we see this in the office space, right? How many of you guys know what a secretary ass looks like? you know there's a certain body response to sitting in a chair for 8 hours a day. Yeah. And then if you're coming home VTubing, well, you're sitting in a chair like 16 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
There's also this condition. I'm surprised we haven't heard any news of someone dying at their desk from this. Like if you travel a lot, which I had to, they always talked about, you know, if you're in a long flight, like get up and when you go to the bathroom, just like spend a little bit of time staying standing, because I don't recall if altitude had something to do with it, but like you can get a clot in your leg and you'll just die when you stand up.
What?
Yeah, because if you're in a sitting position in an airplane for 4 to 8 hours, like let's say, you know, once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever, like your blood could start clogging up from just the sitting. So I'm curious if that ever happens in the VTubing world or just streaming world where someone's just sitting all day.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I'm gonna stand up right now, actually. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I definitely. I mean, some people act like they just sit there in front of their computer all day, but that's another topic of just, you know, internet trolls.
Yeah. I mean, I actually converted around the time that, actually, I think it was towards the beginning of this year. So I have like a standing table. So, you know, I'll sit when I don't feel like standing because I've been maybe out all day or whatever. But if you have an opportunity at a standing desk, I would recommend it. Just having the option to stand and work too. They say like when you're doing presentations or when you're doing speech, or if you ever done like theater, not that I have, but for presentations, you project better when you're standing than when you're sitting. Yeah. Same thing goes if you're like singing. I don't know if you sing in the tracks that you've done standing versus sitting, but you can control your voice better when you're standing. Yeah. Right? You can control your breathing when you're standing.
Yeah.
So if you have a standing desk and you're trying to be a streamer and entertainer, having a standing table might not be a bad idea to do on occasion.
Yeah, I mean, gets the blood flowing.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a really great point. I do have a standing mic, and I do recommend it for people who are trying to do any kind of music, because it is true. Like, that's like one of the first things that you learn in choir or a cappella, whatever you want to call it. Like, you need to be standing up because like your airflow is better when you're standing up. So yeah, it is true. I can testify to that. But yeah, anything else that you felt like you want to say about health
and whatnot?
Yeah.
No, it's I get why, because I'm prone to it from time to time too, but I think we allow people to make excuses when it comes to their own health. Like, you know damn well what you need to do to make yourself feel better, and physically at least, right?
Yeah.
If you know the food that you're eating, there's that joke, right? It's like you get Taco Bell, you feel like shitting afterwards. You get McDonald's, you're depressed afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
You think it's, I appreciate memes and stereotypes because there is truth in them.
Yeah.
Right? There's an emotion conveyed through them which is grounded in reality. So we laugh at the humor of the contrast there. It's funny because it's true, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as health goes, it's like if you don't know what to do, my advice would just be go for a 30-minute walk a day at the time of your choosing, and learn how to just do a simple protein and veg meal twice a day, and you'll be fine.
Cut down on the snacks. That's I know you shouldn't be listening to a raccoon who says that. But like, I definitely try to not snack like after, I don't know, like 9 p.m. for example. Because like, I don't know, because like right after that, at that point, you're probably not gonna do anything else. You're just gonna go to sleep. So like, just don't snack at that, like after a certain hour, or try not to snack at all. And then what helps for me too, or what has helped for me, is that like I have like designated workout clothes, and even if I don't feel like doing it, once I put those clothes on, I'm like, okay, I gotta put this on. Like, I gotta do it now. Like, now I'm wearing my suit of armor. Yeah. Now I can go out and like.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So that's something that's helped me, and also has helped some other people that I've talked to. And then like when you go out for a walk, like, I agree with Dragon, like try to do 30 minutes or 40 minutes, but like even if you just try to do 15 minutes, like I realize that like sometimes I just go out and I just start walking and my brain just turns off and I'm like out there for actually like 30 to 45 minutes without even realizing it. So like you can go out there with the expectation, like if you have to be back in 15 minutes, that's fine, but like at least you went out there and did it, and then that 15 minutes can turn into 30 minutes, and that 30 minutes can turn into an hour. You know what I mean? Like, it just starts somewhere, and I think the most daunting thing about doing something new or implementing a new daily task is starting. So like, just start small, and that's pretty much like the best way to tackle it, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point. When I started, I think I started at like doing 20-minute walks, and then it bumped up to 40 minutes after a month or two, because there's also this weird expectation that if I don't see a change in 1 to 2 months, then something's not right. But in my experience, in every time that I've tried to get back into shape, quote unquote, or I've gotten into shape or have stayed in shape, it's always taken 90 days or longer. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you're not doing it for at least 90 days or longer, then you're already setting yourself up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
Having a uniform is a good point. Having like a particular attire, not just your day-to-day. Like if you're trying to work out in jeans, you're also gonna hurt yourself.
Right.
Like, jeans don't evaporate the soak and sweat that you're putting into it. It just makes it heavier. You're not Goku, guys. Calm down.
Goku. Everybody has to wear a Sailor Moon outfit when you go out for walks. That's the only way.
Which one?
Whichever one you want. There's variety. I'll be open. All right, Sailor Moon outfit, whichever one, whichever sailor you want to be.
Whichever planet you want to be, except for Pluto. That one's not a Sailor Moon anymore.
Oh, damn. Anyway.
no one talks about Pluto.
Yeah, no one talks about Pluto. Damn.
Neptune's got her back though.
Mm-mm.
Neptune? I forget.
Uranus.
Your anus. You
I got it. I'm sorry. I got it. All right, a butt joke. Speaking of butt jokes, do you do you have any shit stories that you want to share with us? Your face.
I'm having this deep debate in my mind. It's like, this is Kōri. Is she literal, or is she referencing to like something?
I'm being literal. Talking about the Taco Bell. Yep.
Talking about the talk? No, I haven't. I'm not that old yet.
Ah, darn. Come on. There's gotta be like some time that you've farted and it was more than a fart. Are you that perfect, Dragon? You've never had a mess up with your butthole?
With my butthole. What is the fascination here, Kōri? Where did this all stem from? I want the deep lore. Is this a family like heretical disease?
What do you want me to ask you about barbecue sauce? Is that what you're trying to ask right now?
Oh man. God, I guess this is a weird one. In high school, I was taking a piss and I farted and a nugget popped out of my trunks. I think. I'm not sure.
I think. What do you mean?
I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was already there. I didn't really pay attention, but then I looked down and I was like, "Wait, was that there?"
Oh no! It's like magic.
That's the best you're gonna get. Yeah, I didn't know I was a magician, but apparently there was some ghosts flying about and they dropped something. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Maybe Santa came by and he came early and it was cold.
Yeah, it was cold.
Who knows?
Oh no! Oh my god, that's funny.
That's the only story I could think of. It was so long ago. Actually, I got one more from a buddy of mine. We were in the men's room in high school, and he was in a stall. We were all about to leave. We're like, we're gonna wait outside. He's like, yeah. Because he was in the process.
Yes, he was like cooking something up. Yep, he was.
Oh man. There you go, Kōri.
Thank you.
There's one for your dumpster fire.
Thank you. Adding that to the pile. Very nice. Actually, that reminds me.
You do ask this to everybody, right?
Yes.
You are from now on.
I am from now. Now I'm liable. So. That reminds me of this one thing that not one thing that I saw, but I saw this happen and I was like, what the heck's going on? But I mean, it kind of makes sense, but basically there was like this, where was this at? I don't know, just like on the street somewhere, just hanging out, walking down the street, another Tuesday, nice morning, the sun was out, the birds were chirping, and there was just like across the street, there was this little girl and she was making some faces. And there's this mom with her, and the mom started squatting down, and they were, I literally think they just came out of their house, right? They just took like the steps down out of their house, and they're standing on the sidewalk, and the little girl's like making a face, and the mom's just like whispering in her ear, and then all of a sudden I see the mom like shake the kid's pants and just solid turds. Coming out of the pants, and I was like, "Oh no!" And just rolling down it was an incline, so they were just rolling down the sidewalk, rolling down the hill.
Solid pellets, huh?
Yes, yes. I mean, she was a young girl, but it was not something that you see every day. And I was like, I don't even know how parents deal with this. This is like why I could never be a parent. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with your child just shitting themselves 5 steps out of the door, and then just it's in their pants?
That's a thing. I had a. She doesn't watch. I had a sibling, really young age. I think we were like less than 5 or 6 or something, but just casually didn't want to go to the restroom, but when we're in the bathtub, it's just, I'm just gonna do it here. Just making some soup. I don't know.
No, making a stew. That's disgusting.
So kids be doing kids things.
That's true.
But it is impressive because people. I know plenty of people who don't really like to blow their nose into their own hand, even if they have like a means to wash it off, right? But as soon as like my sister had her kid, she's like cleaning up everything with her hands. I'm just like, ugh.
Oh no! Ew, ew.
But when it's your kid, it's like I imagine your brain just like stops caring, right?
Yeah, that's your
Yeah.
that came out of you. So I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's your spawn.
There you go.
Anyway, sorry, I had to ask about the shit questions.
You had to. I get it. Yeah, there's something wrong with you. You just had to.
Yeah, the
it.
dumpster fire. It's just adding fuel to the flames here.
Yep.
Is there any other particular topics, just to make sure I ask, is there any other particular topics that you wanted to bring up or discuss, kind of revolving around the shit that VTubers don't talk about?
Yeah, I didn't really. I don't know if I made a big point of it. I think the ultimate message, as far as VTuber talk or streamer talk in general, is once you hit that record button, you've already taken a step that many people have never bothered to, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, don't be too hard on yourselves, but I think if you want to do it for anything more than just for fun and just for like your own purposes, you got to put a little bit of thought into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, live and learn. That's the world goes round. What are you gonna do about it? It is what it is.
That's true. Yeah, there you go. I mean,
Yeah.
something that I kind of wanted to touch on that I think that VTubers don't really talk about is all the freaking setup. Like, I know we kind of talked about it, but there's so much setup for collabs and just like even like creating like a Discord. Like your Discord is super. The Hivecore Discord is like super robust, I would say, and it's really cool. Like there's so many things in there that are just like wow. Like I mean, to me, I'm like a noob when it comes to Discord. Like I can't even make a voice channel, so maybe it's just me, but like there's so much in your Discord that I really admire, and I feel like that's something that even though like it's almost like expected of streamers. Like I was just on someone's stream earlier today and people were coming in like, do you have a Discord? Why don't you have a Discord? And I could hear like the streamer be like, well, it's a lot of work and like I'm kind of scared, you know what I mean? Sorry, go ahead.
I actually, yeah, this is a tough one for me because I have a lot of issue with the community as a whole here. There's I don't know what it is. The tech sphere, you see collaboration everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You see it especially when you start looking at like open source projects. Like the tech sphere has it everywhere, and business kind of has collaboration because it's all transactional though, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's give and take. But when it comes to the artist sphere, the creative sphere, it really frustrates me, and I hope to change it slowly in my own kind of way, growing it slowly. But I really want to see creators that want to work with other creators. I think one of the challenges why setup is such a pain is that there's a lot of you out there just trying to do it all by yourself. Whereas if you look at a lot of successful, say, YouTube channels, they have like 2 or 3 people in studio working on what they're doing, right? Productions, they have agencies, they have people sitting in on their videos and like their managers, right?
Yeah.
Like poking their heads in. The streamer moderator setup kind of sort of helps, maybe a little bit to offload. If you have your own Discord, that's cool. It's a way for you to engage with your audience outside of the streams, and you might have some Discord moderators and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But when you consider social media, when you consider your stream platform, when you consider editing work, which is, oh my God, what a holy grail.
I know.
How do you find it? But editors and editing work and that collaboration, when you want to be community oriented and when you want to try to interact with others and the outreach and the relationship management, until, you've been together long enough where you can actually call yourself true friends to some degree, even if you haven't met them, right? There's certain milestones, I would argue. And then with the stream, you got to make sure VTubing stuff is working. You got to get your OBS stuff working. You got to make sure that your OBS is set up for whatever kind of stream you want to do. You got to, if you're doing collaborations, you got to do audio checks. Like there's such a big checklist of things to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a one-man ship crew, it can be overwhelming, right? In a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people need to have their own Discord servers. I mean, if you don't really have the community for it, like what does your Discord actually do? I actually joined plenty of Discords where they're just dead spaces, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to say I'm doing a fantastic job, but my Discord is a creators Discord, so it's with fellow streamers, fellow VTubers that we've met and that we like and we want to include in collaborative projects, or at least that's the intent.
Right.
And slowly it will grow. So it's a little different on that front, but I really want to see creators getting together and kind of forming their groups and figuring out ways to work together, not for just individual benefit, but collective benefit. I think that's something that gets really just completely overlooked and bypassed. I don't really understand why, and I don't understand why it's so difficult. I guess I kind of understand the person's personal reasons why it's difficult to commit to something like that. There's a lot of young minds that I've found who it's challenging to see if they see one value and motive, but also commitment and responsibility is something that maybe they don't understand yet.
Yeah.
So and for me, right, I'm not going to again put myself on a pedestal. Like I'm still trying to learn this whole community stuff because I avoided any sort of managerial work for the longest time because I knew what kind of bullshit was involved. I'm feeling it kind of now.
Yeah.
trying to keep the community together, right? I'm that guy with the strings on his hands trying to hold it all down. But at the same time, someone has to be the initiator, right?
Yeah.
So if someone does initiate, I think there's a degree of respect that you can have for that. And if someone responds in kind, I think there's a degree of respect that you can have for that. And if you do outreach with someone, I would encourage, this is something, I don't know how often it happens for you, but I've seen cases where it's just like a one-off. It's like, well, did you become friends just for the one-off and then that's it? Or is this some kind of is this actually like a relationship you want to try to grow and make meaningful within a year?
Do you mean like a one-off? Sorry, just to clarify, do you mean like a one-off, like a collab of some kind?
Collab of some kind, yeah.
Okay.
That's probably the easiest way to reference it, right? Like, how many times have you seen someone get together with somebody once? They had a great time, like it was fun, and 8 months has gone by and they've done nothing together again, right? So, I think it's one thing to try to want to, like, I'm guilty of this. So like when I joined the VTubing world, it's like, man, I want to try to collab with as many people as I can. It was really following that kind of VTuber supporter group mentality, which I think is a sham, honestly, because realistically you just can't. Like, how many of those accounts have you seen blow up and then they just collapse on themselves under the weight of the pressure of the community, or you find out that they weren't really as genuine as they claimed to be?
Drama.
So I think the best support that you can show is, one, to accept that you can't support everybody, but two, value the people that you do want to support.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's I think the basics of it. I want to see more people working together, working a bit more closely. Like, one thing I've talked to a couple people about, and it just, again, trying to find traction is another thing. Initiating is one thing, getting traction is another thing.
Yeah, right.
But one thing I would love to do is I would love to just be God, what was his name? You watch Joe Rogan by chance?
Not really.
Not much? All right. No. Well, I know it just because of the name, but like, Rogan is the guy on the show. He has his guests, and then he has his kind of producer, whatever. What's his name? I had it a second ago. Anyways, there's a guy behind the scenes, like a table over, who has all the computers set up, who's switching scenes, who's looking stuff up, who's interacting and moderating chat, right? You got your right-hand production guy.
Yeah.
Right? So I've talked to some people. It's like, dude, I would totally do that. I know it's a bit of a challenge when you're going across the latency of the internet and you don't have like a dedicated studio. But I would love to be the one kind of orchestrating the scene while the personality does their thing, right? And it's like one less thing that you have to focus on is the setup in that case.
Yeah.
So, but trying to find people who are willing to let go of their baby a little bit is difficult.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, I think it just depends on, I guess, the personalities and that you interact with. And just going kind of circling back to a point that you were making earlier about kind of doing one-off things with people, I think, like, just to give my experience, this isn't everybody's experience, but my own experience, I would reach out to a lot of people and do kind of like what you mentioned, like a one-off thing. And I think the reason why I never did anything with them after that is because they never reached out again. And it's like that mutual, for lack of a better term, I guess, like respect or mutual, like wanting to do something together. It's like I showed that I want to do something, and I did it with them, and I, you know, did all the prep work for it. But then I appreciate and I want to keep working with people who still show that same kind of like initiative, right? And I think the problem is that, like, we're kind of in this weird, I mean, at least maybe this is just my experience again, but I'm in this weird thing where I haven't experienced that yet. I don't think I've really had that many people really reach out and like, hey, let's like, let me like take some of the weight off my shoulders on trying to organize something. And it's been a little bit, you know, and I'm not saying that it's like it hasn't happened at all, but it has been a little bit hard because I also know that I'm the kind of person that I've got so much shit going on that, like, there's often times when I'm like, I don't think I can commit, you know, but, and maybe that's why people are like, I don't want to talk to Kōri because Kōri's so busy, you know, so I get that point too, you know, but it's just like, just kind of mentioning my experience in that that's sense. Fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, there's the IRL circumstance, right? It's like, dude, if I'm the one inviting you every single time, it would be nice if you invited me once.
Yeah, right.
Or if I invite you, you know, once a month to hang out, but you tell me no, you know, after like 4 to 6 months, I'm just going to stop asking because I'm going to assume the answer is no.
Yeah. So, and if you want to do something, then you'll reach out. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that. And definitely been in that position a couple times. But
yeah, actually, you know, let's I thought about this when this was coming up, the stream was coming up, which was, man, when did Kōri and I actually talk about trying to get a collab going? I feel like it was back in January.
It's been a while. Yeah, I know. It's been a while.
Like we were talking about like, hey, we got to do something. Like, what do we got? Like, let's hang out. We're down. I'm down. You're down. We're down. Let's go.
I know,
And then, yeah. Well, here we are, though. We finally freaking did it. So let's go. High five.
Yeah, woo! Exactly. We did it. 7 months later. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I really appreciate your patience with me and everybody who's, you know, worked with me, their patience. Because I know sometimes I'm a difficult person to work with. But I also, you know, I want to, in my own way, like, I want to respect their content. And I feel like when I was thinking about you, Dregn, I was like, oh, man, what could I do with Dregn? I feel like, you know, the way that you talk and all the things that, all the ideas that you have, I was like, you know, it'd be perfect for like a podcast. So honestly, when I thought about the podcast idea, you were like one of the top people in mind that I was like, I want to do something. I want to have them as a podcast guest was you. Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, like, it was on my mind. Okay. Anytime somebody has been around and I say something to, it's on my mind. It's just like a matter of like, okay, I got to get to that point. Like, I want to make sure that I do something that is fun, not just for me, but for you as well. Cause I want to respect you and your content. And I want whatever we do to be a good representation of your content, because ultimately I want people from, you know, my community to, you know, check you out, hopefully, right? That's the goal. So yeah, no, but I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you doing this with me. I really loved hearing all your insights, and I do have a lot of respect for you for being, like I said, one of the people that had a corpo job and understands that world, and then kind of became like a VTuber, and in maybe ways that you don't even realize are implementing what you learned in that corpo world, even though I know you don't like it and hate it, and I understand, but
I'm well aware that I do. I'm guilty.
Yeah, because I know that I do. So I mean, I'm assuming that, you know, there's definitely things that you learned along the way that you're using in applying to VTubing, and I think that's cool, and I think that gives you a leg up on a lot of different things with VTubing, because most of the VTubers that I've come across have not had a career and been in a professional environment. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I think that you provide a different perspective because of your background. Everyone does, but especially because you have that corpo background. So
yeah, it's actually why I ask a lot of the people I've met along the way, questions. And I'm fortunate where I've gotten a chance to spend a little bit of time to, know them well enough where they were willing to kind of talk to me for an hour or two just about more life related topics than streaming and VTubing stuff. I think you and I did as well. But just getting that insight and perspective of what's their situation look like, what's their worldview looking like, what's their lifestyle looking like, and that's part of why I got into it is I was curious about the people in it, and now that I've met some people in it, it's like, well, I hope you guys succeed, and if I can find ways to help, I would love to. But yeah, I think the first step for anyone out there would be to just, if you want to do it, you got to do it, right? And you might not be good at it, but if you do it for a month, you're going to be better than the person who waited a month, So yeah, I reached a point in my career was like, I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to go explore this. So I've been spending my time exploring the scene here, and it's been good fun. And
Nice.
I've done something that I think a lot of people haven't done, which is I've taken my channel hostage and just used it to experiment. But
Very nice.
because I know some people, they have a degree of consistency. They'll stream games. They'll go from trend to trend. They'll do shows. I've done it like I've you could probably cut up my channel into maybe like 4 to 6 month increments where I've just tried switching gears entirely. Just how does this treat my how does my analytics change if I start doing this for the next 4 months, and it's been interesting. I definitely have some insight there, but to pop off is another story that I've yet to figure out. So I think you're doing good though. I think you'll get there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that it's important this is something that VTubers don't talk about. I think it's important to experiment because you find out what works and, more importantly, what doesn't work. And I definitely have had a lot of experimenting myself. So I totally get it. I think it's something that everyone should do. And if anything, experiment so that way you can find out what makes you happy, so that way you can keep doing that, because people will see your happiness and your passion, and they will follow you and engage with you because they see that happiness. So yeah, that's pretty important. Is there anything that you want to share with us, like what's next for Dragon Durant, and anything? That the floor is yours if you want to close up. Any last thoughts?
Man, I didn't even get any chicken wings. What is this?
Chicken wings? Some barbecue sauce on the chicken wings? Yeah.
Barbecue sauce, man. Let's talk about barbecue sauce.
Okay.
This is great.
That is true.
It is great though. Plug time. Let's see. I did open up the TTRPG. So if you're a fan of, say, like Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, it's a new system that I've been working on for the past 6 months after the OGL drama that tries to address the accessibility of 5e, but also the character creativity that other systems maybe allow for. So it's meant to be a reaction kind of based system, is what it turned out to be, collaborative between the players and the GM, to be a very immersive, expanded world of making what you want, playing the way you want, and providing like the key framework to allowing that to happen. So it's called Dungeon Core. We don't have a website yet. It's all done through Discord, but we'll be sharing that here very soon, and it is accessible publicly. Not sure what the best way to share that is, but if you search Dungeon Core, you might find it on my channel here. Other than that, Project Hivecore is still another kind of community effort. Anyone who's in that circle or looking to or familiar with the people in that circle, it's a referral invite based kind of group at the moment. I think we're at like 30 or 40 people, I forget. So it's steadily growing. We are doing monthly art collabs, or at least that's the goal, one of the initial goals. We're also doing, hopefully, monthly movie nights, which we got another one scheduled for this month. So it's, again, something that we're a bit selective with, and it's referral based, but it is something that I am putting, those are probably the two projects I'm putting most of my effort into right now.
Nice. What movie are you guys going to watch?
Coming up is going to be the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh!
On the back burner, we got Guardians of the Galaxy, because apparently the third movie is the final of the trilogy, so that's on the list as well. So yeah, good times.
Oh yeah, I know. I have to watch that. Well, maybe I'll watch it with everybody else on the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kōri, are you in that server? I don't know. Yeah, I apologize to anyone watching who is curious about it, but it is a kind of a referral-based deal at the moment. So if you befriend somebody and they happen to know about it, maybe that's an in. But it's really just there to try to grow in a slow and steady pace with the creators that we've met along the way, and try to reduce some of the noise that's on the internet from just the general void of it all.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you for sharing all your thoughts and insights and advice, and more importantly, your experiences. Very much value that. And yeah, everyone, please check out Dregn. Dregn's obviously working on a lot of cool things, and we love that. And obviously, Dregn's been really awesome to chat with today. And like I said, brought a lot of cool insights and experiences and opinions that I don't think you would normally hear. So, very nice. Thank you, Dregn.
The ravings of a madman. Let's go.
The tangents.
The tangents of a madman. Let's go.
Let's go.
And thank you for the happy birthdays.
Yes. Happy birthday, Dregn. I would sing happy birthday, but we'll get DMCA strike. So instead, I'll read to you my beautiful poem again. Hey, Dregn, even though you can't wear any leggings, I'm just saying, you're pretty dang cool, Dregn. I hope there's more fun things along the way. Have a happy birthday. Yay. Thank you, Dregn. You're so done. You're like, I can't wait to get off this goddamn call.
Cool. No, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I enjoy the conversational setting. So anytime anyone would like to hear the tangents I'll go off on, I'm down for it.
Yes, please check out Dregn, everybody. Thank you, Dregn. I will let you go now and let you be back into the void of your magical poop nuggets.
Oh my god.
Wait, how do you poop if you don't have like legs? I mean, I guess you could poop without legs. I mean, do you?
Well, that's why I got rid of everything below my torso.
Oh,
I was done with it. So.
God. So you know what? Don't need this. Too much. You know, just magical nuggets coming out.
Here.
Here's why you don't need legs.
They're after me lucky charms.
Very nice. Thank you, Dregn. I will let you go now. Have a happy birthday and enjoy your night or day or night. Yes. And thank you for coming on again.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Let's do it again.
Let's do it. All right. Bye, Dregn.
Bye.
Bye.
Do I hit the red button?
Yeah, you hit the red button.
All right, bye.
Bye. There we go. Sorry. It's like, wait, how do I do that? All right, there we go. Very nice. Thank you so much, Dregn, again. It was great having you on. Very nice, very nice. Anyway, I hope everyone has a wonderful night as well. Thank you for tuning in, for lurking, for listening. I hope everyone took away at least something from our experiences, our, chats and whatnot, and things that I feel like most VTubers don't really talk about. A lot to learn, and I think moral of the story, don't pee and poop yourself. No, I'm kidding. Sorry, Dregn. Have legs. No, I'm just kidding. Happy birthday, Dregn, once again. But yeah, I think everybody, as Dregn said so eloquently, if you're pressing that record or start, go live, whatever button, you're taking a step that you'd be surprised how many people don't do that. And I think you should give yourself credit for that, and always look into those questions of, not just what am I doing, but why am I doing this, and how can I either improve it or include the audience, or how whatever, how you can do these processes and whatnot. So very great stuff, and I definitely learned a lot from this stream. And thank you, everybody. And also balance your health if you can. I know it's hard, and I've struggled with it too. But I feel like if I was able to make efforts by just trying, little by little, building up to a more healthy lifestyle, then you can as well. So it's not impossible, even though it feels like it probably is impossible. But thank you, everybody, for hanging out today, and I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Please take care, eat good food, healthy good food, question mark. But exercise to balance that, and take care of your voices and take care of yourself while you stream. And yeah, if you ever feel overwhelmed, just take that walk and get refreshed and all that. But anyway, everyone take care. Have a good night. I'll see you guys on the next podcast. Now, I think the next one is going to be not this upcoming weekend, the 15th, but it's going to be the 22nd. And that one is going to be a solo one. I'll be talking about something. I have to check what it is. I'm so organized. Okay. But yeah, I'll be chatting about something on the 22nd. But yeah, the 15th and the 16th will be Kōri's birthday special. So if you want to check that out, come by and hang out for Kōri's birthday. But otherwise, take care. And I appreciate everybody being here and doing things that you love and are passionate about, or figuring that out. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Don't forget to check out Dragon. Okay? All right. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night. Bye-bye. Bow chicka wow chicka wow wow jump. Bow chicka wow bitcha bow.